football, the legendary coach who made Ronaldo unstoppable and dominated world football. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 141. He slept comfortably until more than 10 o'clock in the morning, when Liu Yi got up from bed. When I wake up, it's a day without going to work, and I feel like it's cool. To give the players a vacation is to give themselves a vacation as a head coach, and Liu Yi will never forget this. If you don't take a holiday, even if you do it, you have to go to Carrington Base to stay. Who doesn't want to sleep comfortably until you wake up naturally? Everyone knows that Jesse Lingard is a strong player, and it was amazing to even play the best level in the Premier League in the second half of last season. But everyone cannot imagine, Jesse Lingard will be in the Champions League, with a game to hand over 3 goals and 3 assists of the god-level data. Most players play in the Champions League, may play from the group stage to the final. There is no such wonderful data. If you want to say that Burnley is a young team, they beat Manchester United 2-1 in the first round. Even the starters are the same. The difference is that Manchester United has changed coaches. Large and small football media, basically analyzing Jesse Lingard's performance in this game, completely covered the limelight of Ronaldo. Of course, there are also some media outlets that have expressed another point of view, whether it is the explosion of Cristiano Ronaldo, or the good performance of Jesse Lingard and other players, are inseparable from the new coach of Manchester United. Jesse Lingard has done great, but Liu is the one who turned decay into magic, and if it weren't for him, United might still be struggling right now. Gary Neville reversed his previous attitude and became a loyal supporter of Liu Yi. It's an indisputable fact, maybe a change of coach will have some effect, but it will never be as crazy as Liu. It's simply unimaginable. Even Liverpool's great Carragher was on this issue, branching out Gary Neville's point of view. At the beginning, some people said that perhaps they ate the dividends of changing the coach, and after everyone played a wave of chicken blood, everything returned to normal. But now Liu Yi has led the team to 6 league games and 3 Champions League group matches, scoring 5 goals in the least of the 9 games, and not conceding a single goal. At first, the doubts about him were long gone, and on the contrary, a large number of professionals, or media reporters, began to analyze Liu Yi's tactics and study Liu Yi's football philosophy. The touting of various professional terms, anyway, Liu Yi himself is unable to understand, but looks happy. But everyone's shock is not as good as one person, using that as Pogba. Pogba and Jesse Lingard were originally in the top 2 on the list of fleeing Manchester United, but now Jesse Lingard has suddenly announced that he is staying, and it has exploded with such a huge amount of energy. Pogba is a genius. Even if he is old, he is still a genius player, but it is difficult to control his mentality, so that if he plays uncomfortably on the pitch, or is unwilling to contribute, he behaves very badly. Originally, according to the plan given to him by Guardiola, after leaving Manchester United for free again, find a home that can afford to pay, whether it is Real Madrid, Paris or Juventus. However, recently Juventus has been plagued by troubles and may even be punished to Serie B, leaving Pogba with one less choice. The fewer the options, the smaller he will be with his Zhuang power. If there is only 1 or 2 choices, will the other party give him a high salary? The answer is no, and Pogba is not a fool. Although in recent exchanges, Guardiola has unanimously said that there is no problem, in his words, Pogba feels some hesitation. Jesse Lingard's salary of £200,000 to renew, the tax is almost £104,000, of course, there are goals and assists bonuses, winning the game and winning the championship also have all the proceeds counted, almost equivalent to the salary of £200,000 after tax, of course, provided that all the championships are won. Before the renewal, Jesse Lingard was able to get a chance and play well, but that was within his strength, and in yesterday's Champions League game, Linda seemed to have changed as a person. If you close your eyes, Pogba thinks that it may be an enhanced version of Messi, which is too strong. It must be because Liu arranged tactics that fit Jesse Lingard and stimulated his full potential and allowed him to play as he pleased. Pogba understands that he now wants to stay here and win honors and championships. But after talking to the coach one day, he knew that the coach actually had great disgust and dissatisfaction with him and Guardiola for some of his previous actions and remarks. For Liu Yi to be able to confess to him frankly and explain all the problems, Pogba is grateful in his heart. It's far better than not having any requirements, but staying and not giving yourself a chance, at least giving yourself the opportunity to choose and weigh up. Apologies to the fans and expressions of loyalty to Manchester United were no problem. The key was to terminate the agent contract with Guardiola, which made him hesitate. The reason is simple: Guardiola will always be on the side of the player and himself, on the opposite side of the club and fighting for the interests of the players. His players often get relatively high salaries, provided that they are very stiff with their mouths. Sir Ferguson had said before that Liu was one of his hated agents and would never work with him, and Pogba could imagine how much of an impact this would have on the Manchester United fanbase. He didn't care before, thinking that as long as he played well, as long as he was good enough, then Manchester United would beg him to come back and ask for his contract extension. It was exactly what happened at first, with United almost kneeling in front of him and Liu and offering him a lucrative contract, and his happiness or unhappiness was almost a barometer of the team. However, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's class, everything changed, and this rookie coach from the Dragon Kingdom changed everything. Manchester United's record is soaring, the game is extremely smooth, playing better than one, the key is that he is injured, there is no chance to play. The winning streak is not terrible, who is embarrassed. The most important thing is that Liu's most important players are Ronaldo and Fred, Varane, the three. The striker and defender don't say, but Fred has become so strong that Pogba feels a strong sense of crisis, and if he does not make a decision, it is estimated that there is only one way to leave. But with the change of Juventus, there are fewer and fewer ways to leave, and the opponents who talk about the accompaniment will come to the city. Can Liu bring herself a lucrative contract? When Pogba was entangled, Manchester United captain Harry Maguire also made a difficult decision, taking advantage of the noon to call Liu Yi. Episode 142. For Maguire, there have always been two things, which have been firmly on his head, which has put him under pressure since moving to Manchester United. One is a transfer fee of up to 80 million and the other is the armband of the Manchester United captain. The transfer fee is no way, the Manchester United of that year is stupid money, that is a click to give without counteroffer, 80 million smashed in front of the old club Leicester City. Who can stand this? There is no such expensive defender in football. Leicester City directly made the decision, since Manchester United want you so much, then you go. Maguire can't help it, can't say that she is not worth so much money. Then there is the captain of Manchester United, as one of the biggest clubs in the world, the captain of the club with the most fans, who can refuse such an identity. So in this way, Manchester United came to a captain who has no qualifications and is not the top in strength, and his name is not righteous. The most crucial thing is that Maguire came to Old Trafford at the world's #1 price, and the hope for him was to bring Van Dijk to the same chemistry as Liverpool. However, the role is indeed there, but there is no way to compare with Van Dijk, and the gap is getting wider and wider. After all, as a defender, Van Dijk lost the Golden Globe in 19 years, which is already one of the scandals of the Golden Globes, and you can imagine how well he played. Even after being cut by Everton goalkeeper Pickford, his strength has declined, but he is still the top defender, and Maguire has been driven by many Manchester United fans. Not only does he say he doesn't deserve to be Manchester United captain, he even says he doesn't deserve to play for United. If he didn't change his scarf, Maguire felt that he would sink forever, but with the arrival of the new coach, everything was back on track. He could feel that he was better at performing one game than another, but there was another feeling, that is, his order of appearance, definitely after Varane and Lindelof watching the appearance. Varane's performance is obvious to all, and he is indeed incomparable, but if Boss Kenra pulls himself and gives himself a copy of the Oriental Mysterious Gong FA cheats. Look at Fred, look at Cristiano, look at the almost glassman Varane, who turned straight into the steel diamond warrior. What are you waiting for, Harry? You can. Maguire plucked up enough courage to make this call to Liu Yi, starting with a good relationship with the boss. I heard that the Orientals come to the door and need to buy some gifts or something. It is best to eat and drink, rather than buying a bouquet of flowers. Imagine coaching a single dog, the family will definitely not use flowers. Fortunately, Liu Yi did not know his idea, otherwise he would not use it directly. What is a single dog cannot use fish and flowers, how can a single dog not be used? Half an hour later, Maguire appeared at Liu Yi's door carrying a bag of various fruits. How Harry, are you preparing me fruit for a month? While joking, he welcomed Maguire in, and tried to carry the fruit bag, but almost hit it on the ground, thanks to Maguire not directly released. Fuck, how heavy is Harry? I don't know what the boss likes to eat, so I bought some of them, about 50 pounds. Maguire scratched the back of his head. If you don't pay attention, 40 or 50 pounds is indeed to use some strength, and for your sincere sake, I don't blame you. Just sit and I'll go wash some fruit. Just can be used. Liu Yi casually washed some grapes and oranges. This kind of eating is relatively easy, chat will not get in the way. The two sat face to face, chatted about the weather in Manchester, looked at the clouds, and estimated that it was going to rain again, and maybe even a little snow. "Boss, I don't think I might be fit to be the captain of our team." Maguire had some difficulty saying this, but when he said it, he felt relaxed, like unloading a big burden. Hearing this, Liu Yi looked up at Maguire. He was not surprised, on the contrary, he waited for Maguire for a long time. "Why? Is someone making a fool of yourself in your ear?" "Of course not, boss. I have my own considerations. In fact, I want to come to you for a long time, is afraid that you think I am not responsible, so hesitate until now." After the words were spoken, Maguire told Liu Yi his thoughts completely and plainly. "If one day I put on United's captain's armband again, it means I deserve it, and I hope you fulfill my wish." Liu Yi wiped his hands and patted your shoulder. "Harry, I'm glad you came to me, but I can't remove your captain for no reason. That's not my style." Maguire opened his mouth and tried to say something, but Liu Yi stopped him. "Tomorrow during our morning training session, you talk to your teammates about your ideas, and then everyone re-elects a captain out. What do you think?" "I'm fine, I'll do what you ask you to do." Maguire quickly agreed, and it wasn't a big deal. Of course, even if you are not the captain anymore, you still have to take responsibility and show your courage at the critical moment. Liu Yi told Maguire again, "But you can't break the jar and break it. When it's time to get on, you must go up. Rest assured, I will demand myself to be a real captain." Well, everyone was happy, and Maguire could clearly feel that the boss was a little more enthusiastic about himself, and that's what he wanted. As long as you can become the boss's own person, then the divine skill cheats are absolutely indispensable. Sent away Maguire, Liu Yi is also in a good mood. This is indeed a bonus. Without his own hints, Maguire has such an insight, it can be seen that the pattern has opened. Choosing a convincing captain and letting go of Maguire's pressure, by the way, is a two-pronged victory. Fans won't have any opinion on this, but on the contrary, they are happy to see it happen. Look at the Manchester United Premier League captains: Robson, Bruce and Cantona, Keane, Neville and Vidic in the back, and then Rooney, Carrick, Valencia and Ashley Young. These people are either strong or old, and it seems a bit out of place to put Maguire in the line. It's something that everyone is happy to see. However, since Maguire is so sensible, the necessary rewards must not be less, and it is not too much to mix with the first main centre-back of the big British team. It's even possible that you can't wear the armband of the captain of Manchester United, but you can bring the armband of the captain of the big British team. The more I think about Liu Yi, the more excited I am, and I feel that the goal of life seems to have appeared again. Maybe on that day, there will be a lot of national team captains in my team. Episode 143. The next day, without waiting for the training to start, when everyone was warming up, Liu Yi, who usually hid in the office to steal, appeared on the side of the training ground. Carrick immediately greeted him respectfully, smiled and asked, "Boss, is there any new arrangement?" "Yesterday Harry came to me to discuss something. Let's get everyone together." Liu Yi nodded and gave Carrick instructions. Carrick immediately trotted to find someone, and now he suddenly felt that there was nothing to run, and that practicing physical fitness might be necessary. Not long after, everyone stood around Liu Yi and saw that his gaze was fiery. "Yesterday Harry talked to me about something, and I felt that I couldn't make a decision alone. It was a big thing that affected everyone in the team, so I decided to let everyone discuss it together, and Harry told everyone about it." Liu Yi said and gave Maguire a look of encouragement. He was 3 or 2 years older than Maguire, and it was normal to do so. Maguire obviously did a night of psychological construction, standing in front of everyone and honestly explaining his inner thoughts, including his distress and surprise, and the pressure he felt now. A stream of brains spat out. Everyone naturally has a feeling of insects. After all, everyone has been together for so long. Who has something happening with that is absolutely unable to escape the law. Come and applaud and encourage Harry to speak out what he thinks and salute him. Snap. In the midst of the applause, only Pogba in the back felt a little irritable. This kind of ruin has nothing to say, and it is not his turn to be the captain. I've agreed to Harry's request, but if everyone thinks he's a good fit, then he has to take on that responsibility. Now I have a pen and paper here, and everyone writes out the names of the 3 captains in their hearts, first, second, and third. Liu Yi said, handed the paper and pen in his hand to Carrick, and signaled him to send it to everyone. Vigorously, everyone did not expect that there was not even time to think. Let me write the answer. But when the coach does this, everyone has to respect it. In just 3 minutes, Fred was the first to write the answer, and handed it to Liu Yi with both hands, with a respectful attitude. "Hey, Fred, relax, this is not the election of the president of Brazil." Liu Yi also made a joke with Fred, and everyone immediately laughed out loud, and some tense and depressing atmosphere instantly became relaxed. It was only 5 minutes before and after, and most people gave their answers, except where Pogba was still drawing circles. "Paul, all these people here, don't you fit what you think?" Liu Yi had a smile on his face and his tone seemed to be joking, but in fact, his heart was already unhappy. "It's so many choices that there's no way to make a choice." Pogba made a helpless gesture and then continued to draw circles on the paper. It gives people the feeling that he can't write, so he makes excuses. "Okay, then you go on," Liu Yi said and stood up, picked up the paper next to him and turned the page by page. Everyone's attention was also attracted by him, and Pogba also felt that the boss was not in the mood to play with him, and quickly wrote 3 names on the paper. After a few minutes, Liu Yi already had a number in his mind, and it was almost as he thought. "Very well, I already know everyone's answer. I will destroy these papers to avoid trouble. I hope you can trust me." "Of course, I'm sure you won't lie to us." Fred's was still the first to raise his hand. "With this loyalty and attitude, we must continue to strengthen a wave of him, otherwise how to compete with Neymar for the position of captain of the Brazilian national team." Others have also said that there is no problem. "Very well, then I publish the answer here. Congratulations to Cristiano, he got the most votes for the first captain, more than 10 votes for the second place, so you will be the new captain of our Manchester United." "Thank you, I will do my best to help you." See, Luo quickly showed his attitude. This is everyone's trust in themselves. In fact, everyone already has this premonition when voting, whether it is seniority or strength, no one can compare with Ronaldo. Second place, congratulations to David De Gea. It was another round of applause, and De Gea's status and seniority in the team also deserved this second. "But what I'm holding here is that because of my position, I won't appoint you as team deputy, and I hope you will forgive me. Of course, I can come to Gongnan as a team member to give my strength." De Gea knew the result very well. After all, there were too few teams with goalkeepers as the captain. And he's not a goalkeeper like Neuer with a very large range of activities, otherwise it's okay to be a captain. "Then let's congratulate Nemanja Matic, who will continue to be our vice-captain, responsible for your attendance and fines." Matic laughed and applauded, something he had been doing for several years and was handy. "The next rankings, we will not decide. If Cristiano and Nemanja cannot be on the field, I will decide on the spot who is the captain. The result is like this. In fact, even if Liu Yi chooses the captain himself, everyone will not oppose fear. The result of doing so now is to further improve the loyalty of all people to Liu Yi. The new official took office with 3 fires, so why not let Lao Luo invite us to eat 3 meals? Anyway, he is not bad for money." Liu Yi looked at the crowd and made his own proposal. "Boss, are we going to bring our families?" Bi Fei suddenly blinked and asked. Everyone laughed in unison, this time without Liu Yi making a decision. "That's definitely going to be brought, and a gathering without family members is not complete." The new captain Si Luo stood up and expressed his opinion, turning a blind eye to Liu Yi's eyes. "Well, let's all raise our hands to vote, and don't agree to the raising of hands with our families." Liu Yi quickly raised his arm, but found that he was alone in the whole room. "Fred." Eyes narrowed, he shouted at Fred, making a deliberately angry look. "Hug, if my lady is angry, it is much more terrible than the boss." Fred also made a joke that made everyone laugh again. The minority obeyed the majority, and Coach Liu had to go through a journey of dog abuse again, hoping to have a few single dogs GABA. Soon, the official website of Manchester United released the news. After the unanimous consent of the locker room, under the guidance of Coach Liu Yi, everyone decided to elect Cristiano Ronaldo as the new captain of the team, and Nemanja Matic as the team vice president. After the news was posted on Manchester United's official social media, everyone including Liu Yi forwarded it. Maguire also forwarded the news, attaching his own testimonials. "This heavy pressure left me a little breathless in the past 2 years, now I can throw Ronaldo, hello captain." Below is accompanied by a picture of Ronaldo. Liu Yi also forwarded the official news of Manchester United. However, his picture is a photo with Luo. "I have to admit that Cristiano bought me with 3 meals, but unfortunately the other team members did not bid, which made me feel very sad." Episode 144. Replaced to a satisfied captain and work things are going well. Liu Yi also waited for his third endorsement contract, and he did not expect that it was a product in another field entirely. Because Zhao Lingyue still did not officially enter the work, the staff of the other party came directly to Manchester. At the head of the group is a smiling Longhua person, with a smile that makes people close, with a pair of eyes and a plaid shirt symbolizing the engineering man. Director Liu is good. I am Liu Hua, the president of Dajiang, and I am also your fan. I am a veteran fan of Manchester United for decades. Hello. Liu Yi did not expect that the company that came to the door this time was actually Dajiang Drone, a world-renowned unicorn enterprise. However, considering the domestic and foreign pressures that Dajiang is now facing, there are many strong competitors in the market, and the suppression of Bald Eagle has forced them to find a way. My name is Christina, and it's a pleasure to meet you. It was a woman who looked like a dragon countryman, and it turned out that this mouth was English, and the English name she said made Liu Yi have some misunderstandings. You're not a dragon man? I am, and I am also the director of Dajiang. Since I am a dragon man, I can understand dragon language, Miss Christina. Liu Yi smiled and shook hands with the other party, but there was some unhappiness in his words. Zhang Xiaonan was slightly stunned. She originally thought that she spoke English and could please the other party, but she did not expect to touch a soft nail. Does Director Liu speak dragon language at work? I speak less, but I can speak some English, French, Portuguese and Spanish, Italian and German, which is certainly not the point. The point is that my players are learning to speak dragons. Liu Yi invited several people to sit down, and other secretaries and assistants and the like also shook hands in separate rooms. Originally, Zhang Xiaonan and these people, feeling that Liu Yi was thriving in foreign countries, should have done some things that foreigners liked, and even curried favor with foreigners, but now it seems that this is probably not the case. After a few simple small talks, Zhang Xiaonan reintroduced himself, without any English name. After all, Liu Yi mixed in foreign countries, and there was no English name. When the foreigner introduced him, he still did not have to work hard to pronounce the syllables of his name, which was also a cultural output. After chatting politely for a while, everyone went straight to the topic and began to talk about endorsements. Still, the world's chief spokesperson, Dajiang's annual profit of nearly 10 billion yuan can also support them to pay a huge endorsement fee, which naturally will not be included in this. Liu guides us to be our own people. We give you money is always more comfortable than giving foreigners endorsement fees. Absolutely not a problem. Turn. Liu Hua's appearance of wealth made Liu Yi see the courage of a world-famous unicorn. In principle, I agree, but if I say that I want to do something that kneels and licks foreign customers, or destroys the image of our countrymen, I will not do it. Listening to Liu Yi say this, the strategic director of Dajiang suddenly felt that his face was hot. Liu Hua knew that Zhang Xiaonan's behavior just now was afraid that the world-famous football coach felt a little unhappy in his heart and quickly made his own commitment. Director Liu is assured that we are also an enterprise based in China and looking at the world, and we will never do this kind of self-destruction of the Great Wall. The two sides reached an agreement on this. The specific content of the contract is naturally Mendez to negotiate, and Zhao Lingyue is still busy dealing with Yao Yaodong's going abroad. Moreover, he has not yet officially joined the company, and after the two sides signed a contract to give him a formal position in a domestic company, Zhao Lingyue is the official domestic agent of Liu Yi. Just in Mendez, London, when I heard Liu Yi's call, I suddenly felt a little bitter. He had been busy for so long, and it was hard to have a big contract, but he was also rejected by Liu Yi, and now he has not even negotiated a new contract for the family. Liu Yi is already about to sign the third endorsement contract, and the amount is larger than the other, and he does not have to bother with the kind of contract at all, he only needs to prevent it from falling into it. Such a simple work made Mendez begin to doubt his own value. Whether it was Liu Yi's place, any agent can easily compete. In the mansion in Manchester, Liu Yi hung up the phone and made a helpless gesture. Mendez is in London, and is coming as fast as he can, presumably in the afternoon or at night, to see him. Listening to Liu Yi call Mendez, that relaxed tone made Dajiang's gang completely believe that the person in front of him didn't care about any skin and country, only in your identity. It's okay, we can wait. Mendez is my agent, that's what he should do. Only 2 hours before and after, Mendez appeared in front of Liu Yi, looking like a servant of the wind and dust, so that Zhang Xiaonan and others attached more importance to Liu Yi. Liu, I am cheeky, I have reached a friend's private plane flying back, you invite me to eat a meal, to compensate for my wounded heart. As soon as he entered the door, Mendes ignored the others, embraced Liu Yi with open arms, and then shouted to show his hardship. "No problem, let's introduce you, our guests from home." Liu Yi introduced Dajiang one by one, and Mendes actually took the initiative to greet Luo Hua with a stumbling dragon language, which also made Zhang Xiaonan feel blush. The next job was handed over to Mendes and Dajiang's staff, and Liu Yi took Luo Hua and Zhang Xiaonan out to Manchester for a walk. Inside the garage, there is a Ferrari F12 Perinita sent by Ronaldo, and the fiery red body is particularly eye-catching. Of course, there are several Longqi H9 Plus vehicles sent by Longqi Group, all of which are very good cars, and Liu Yi chooses them for half of his travel, and this Liu Ci is naturally no exception. The weather is a little cold, and he is also wearing a down jacket from Bozeting, which is enough to prove that Liu Yi is a qualified spokesman, and he really uses it again. The contract was negotiated very smoothly, everyone was intentional and the concubine was intentional, and the direction was correct, nothing more than some details. In the evening, Mendes gave Liu Yi a specific amount, about 3 years and $50 million in endorsement fees, to shoot no more than 2 promotional films for Dajiang every year, and Dajiang could use Liu Yi's portrait rights. The influence on a global scale is so valuable. Liu Yi is the world's largest group of football fans, and the idol in the hearts of Manchester United fans, which is even more valuable. Hard work. Liu Yi patted Mendes on the shoulder. Mendes shook his head, and some bitter smile appeared on his face. Hard fart. I originally had a price of $30 million in my heart. I didn't expect that the other party's mouth was $50 million. I still have something to talk about. Smoothly let me think that I am the party that pays the money. Just get used to it. How are I going to talk about my new contract with the club? Liu Yi comforted him and casually asked about another work being done. Episode 145. Well, negotiating contracts for your employer is what Mendes does best. In just over a month, Liu Yi renewed his contract twice, and he naturally earned a lot of intermediary fees from it. The talks are almost over, mainly focusing on the contract period. Tell me more. For his own contract, Liu Yi is naturally very concerned. Manchester United want to sign for 5 years at a time, and there is a 1-year extension option. I want to talk about 3 years, then we will be more proactive. If there is nothing wrong with other content, 5 years will be 5 years, anyway. I have no intention of moving the nest for the time being, and give me a whole high point for the liquidated damages, lest the people of Glazer look at me unfavorably and find a reason to make it easy for me to go. Rest assured, the little means of the Glazer family are not enough for me to see, and they will certainly give you a clear arrangement. Since Liu Yi had no problem with the length of the contract, Mendes did not dwell on this issue, and the next day he called Sandesi and determined the final content of the contract. Manchester United officially announced the news for the first time, indicating that Liu Yi and Manchester United's new contract has been agreed upon, and Liu Yi will sit on the Manchester United coaching seat in the next 5 years. Unlike the selection of captains, such a thing naturally requires a press conference. In the afternoon, when the players were training, Liu Yi and Sandesi met with the reporters together, and by the way, they revealed the specific details and calmed the hearts of the people at Manchester United. Hey, congratulations on getting your new contract. Thank you. Can you say something specific? All I can say is that for the next 5 years, I'll be sitting in the Manchester United coaching bench and maybe you'll be tired of seeing me. Liu laughed and made a joke. Such details have long been exposed, and reporters are naturally dissatisfied. So can I say that when we negotiated with Manchester United, did any other club contact you? No, I've been working for Manchester United. I haven't taken any accolades and haven't made United better, so I'm not going to leave. Liu Yi did not hesitate, because no one really contacted him. Even if there was a connection, it was to contact Mendes. I heard that your contract salary and bonus are far less than the contract offered by Newcastle. What makes you give up huge benefits and choose to stay at Manchester United? Of course it's love. I have feelings for Manchester United. I'm willing to work hard for it to get better. A little money is worth it. Next, at the press conference, Sandesi praised Liu Yi wildly. He is a real Manchester United person. Our contract negotiations are very smooth. There is no quarrel and dissatisfaction. The process is very fast. Manchester United fans may want to keep Liu on the Manchester United coaching bench forever. I'm a Manchester United fan and I think so too. After the press conference, the specific content of Liu Yi's contract was also revealed to the world. For example, the annual salary: if Liu Yi can't win any championship this year, then his youth is £9 million. If he can win the FA Cup, then it can grow to £10 million. If you can get either the league or the Champions League, the salary can reach £11 million. The FA Cup plus any Champions double can get £12 million, the Champions League and league doubles can get £13 million, and the treble can get £15 million. Of course, even the highest £15 million is a long way from the price code offered by Newcastle. After all, Manchester United's money is their own hard work, not like a big dog casually out of the blood. It is the taste of money making people dizzy. Liu Yi's choice also reassured Manchester United fans. After all, no one will pay more than Newcastle. Such a salary can also allow Liu Yi to maintain a relatively decent position in the Premier League manager, and the salary ranking is relatively high. During the afternoon training session, Pogba did not appear, but he was a sick person himself, and there was no problem in not appearing. No one even cared if he had appeared. After all, everyone was busy training hard, and only by getting the favor of the manager could they make their strength to a higher level. See Ronaldo and Varane. Needless to say, these two are strong enough in themselves. The most obvious example is Fred, and everyone can see that Fred has completely improved his strength since he began practicing squatting. Directly from the Premier League reincarnation level to the level of the absolute main force of the Premier League, any team is like this. Liu Yi came back from the press conference, hid in the office to read the novel, or went to Twitter to see the little sister, and the time also passed quickly. Seeing that he was about to leave work, suddenly Mendes made a phone call. "Liu, something went wrong. I sent you a link, and Layola attacked you in the interview." After speaking, Mendes did not have nonsense, directly hung up the phone, and sent Liu Yi a video link. For 10 minutes of the video, the chubby Raiola is being interviewed, a fat face full of angry redness, constantly waving his hands as he speaks to express his dissatisfaction. That rookie manager of Manchester United, who doesn't understand the respect for the player at all, I don't see any shining point in him, and he has received so much praise for the bonus of changing coaches, which is the sadness of football. In order to get the player to renew his contract, he directly asked the player to change the agent. Is it not pleasant for an agent who stands with the player? I hope the other players will note that your head coach is not a good thing. Of course, Paul is a good boy. I have a good relationship with him. I will always think on his side. Maybe that's what the hornworm angered Manchester United, and that rookie coach. I don't know what qualifications to point fingers at me and my players. He wasn't born when I was in football. I have to give Manchester United an ultimatum here, and if they still want a world-class player like Paul to play for their club, then get their manager out of the way immediately. It's hard to imagine that a child like Harlan's would get along with such a person in the future, and I would never accept such a fact. Paul's contract with Manchester United is about to expire, and now we are open to other teams as well. My phone calls should be known to everyone. Everyone knows what kind of player he is. You want to get him, I know. Manchester United's rookie manager, the clown from the Dragon Kingdom, vainly trying to separate his players and agents, so that the players will be isolated and helpless, become poor people who are bullied and at his mercy. I will never allow such a thing to happen. I hope that other players can also stand up and bravely say no to Liu. A stupid clown. For 10 minutes, what he said back and forth was basically attacking Liu Yi, especially Liu Yi's request that he terminate his brokerage contract with Layola. Liu Yi's face was livid, and a phone call was made to Carrick. "Old Ka, what about Pogba? Didn't come today." Carrick didn't know what was going on yet, and responded honestly. Episode 146. Liu Yi hung up the phone, then looked at the time, and there was still more than half an hour before he left work. Whether Pogba knew or did not know Layola's behavior, he planned to give him half an hour, and if there was a call during this time, then everything was still discussed. But that's the last minute. What he couldn't imagine was that Pogba was also waiting for Liu Yi to call him. As long as Liu Yi promised to give up some requirements, then renewal of the contract was not impossible. Previous successes have been repeated on the club's head, forcing the club to bow its head. Even the pre-match self-nomination of Manchester City is such a thing. Often at every turn is to go to Real Madrid, or the air of the French team is more relaxed. But both the manager and the club have condoned his behavior again and again, treating these things as if they had never happened. So much so that many Manchester United fans have begun to excuse Pogba or wash the floor. There is no doubt that in the past few years, Pogba and Layola have played Manchester United as a club in the palm of their hands. Now there are people who want to leave Manchester United for free and join other teams. You must know that Manchester United bought him back from Juventus for €100 million, and he was laughed at by the crowd at that time. After a few years, he will have to pay £500,000 weekly salary, more than the Ronaldo salary, to renew, otherwise he will leave for free. It can't be said that it is a white-eyed wolf, at least it is also a ruthless and unrighteous person. Ability is naturally there, but now Pogba, which is no longer the peak of Pogba, has dropped too much in speed and efficiency, coupled with frequent injuries. It is good to play 2/3 of the game in a season. If he took the initiative to do something to save the image in Liu Yi's heart, then staying could still be useful, but unfortunately he had come to this step now. In the last half hour, without receiving a call from Pogba, Liu Yi knew that the fate of the two had come to an end. When it was time to leave work, Liu Yi simply stood up and then deleted Pogba's name from his contact information. In Liu Yi's mind, a player who has a bad image and a bad previous record wants to make him serve 3 or 4 times low, and Pogba is not worthy. With the interview of Loyola, it was exposed on a large scale, and suddenly the fishing ship was naturally in uproar. There are those who support Manchester United and Liu Yi, and there are those who support Pogba and Loyola. After all, Pogba still has some fans, and when he performs well, playing football is also very attractive. For United fans, this is just another uproar. From the moment Pogba came to Manchester United, it has been in the winter of uncertainties. It always gives the impression that Manchester United is just a springboard for him and that he will eventually have to go to other teams. In fact, it is also the case, Pogba's ending at Manchester United, and now there are two kinds of left: either high-paying renewal, raising a big uncle, or directly free of charge, the loss of big hair. In the office of the club CEO, Ed Woodward smashed a cup in anger and slammed his fist on the table. Damn, Lao Tzu is close to retirement and he still doesn't want Lao Tzu to live a good life. What do you two grandsons want to do? Even if it is something that is doggy, can't we wait for Lao Tzu to retire and then toss it? The wolf smashed 2 fists on the table again, and the fists were smashed red. To force himself to calm down, dialed Liu Yi's phone, first of all, to communicate with the head coach to see what was going on, or what Liu Yi thought about this matter. Liu, did you watch the video of the interview with Loyola? Compared to the angry Sandesi, Liu Yi was very calm, nodding his head across the phone. Do you have any ideas, or what do you want to do with it? For Liu Yi's calmness, Sandesi was obviously a little surprised, and also let him calm down. Ed, we can't back down to Loyola, we have to be tough. The Pogba thing has happened, but we have to let people know that we are not good bullies. Who wants to ride on our heads is a blessing, then wait for the head to be thrown and bleed. Although Sandesi is a businessman and everything is based on interests, Liu Yi is now Manchester United's greatest interest, so speaking naturally counts. Well, Liu, what are you going to do, or what do you need me to do? I'm going to Norwich tomorrow, and when the game comes the day after tomorrow, we'll respond publicly, and don't talk for 2 days. Okay, when you need my cooperation, feel free to call me. Santacuco simply agreed. This is not a difficult choice. Ed, all you have to do is support me with all your might, and let the whole Manchester United club be my backing, so that I can fight against my opponents without scruples. Liu, you still look down on your energy. As long as you want, any club is willing to be your backing. We Manchester United are naturally no exception. Things were so pleasantly decided, the club did not speak out about this matter for the time being. Everything was handed over to Liu Yi to deal with, waiting for the press conference before the game to be resolved. Liu Yi and the club do not speak, but the players who are loyal to Liu Yi can't stand this in the first place. After returning home from training and eating, Fred, who was walking on a horse, got the news from his wife and directly exploded. Immediately log on to his social media account and express his opinion on this matter. At Paul Pogba, if you are a man, stand up and speak for yourself, don't hide behind Loyola, like an innocent fool. I look down on you. No one expected that Fred would be so rigid, and Silk did not save face for Gaba. Liu Yi and Manchester United fans have expressed their support and praise for Fred. Luo, who immediately received the news, also published his views, and as he grew older, Luo did not hide his views very much, often expressing his ideas bluntly, leaving some so-called black spots. There is no doubt that Paul betrayed our boss. He chose to side with the agent, and told the boss in his heartfelt words to Loyola, Paul is not a person of integrity. What should be done? I firmly support Liu Yi. Lingard's words were fierce, and he looked like he was going to fight. I have a good relationship with Pogba. We have known each other for many years, but I still have to say it now, you fexstick. Pogba has left Manchester and flew to Dubai during the day. After all, it is time for him to recover from his injuries, and the club does not restrict his freedom of movement. Looking at these people who usually call them brothers and brothers, suddenly standing opposite him in unison, standing next to the rookie coach who has known him for less than 2 months, he feels boundless anger. Episode 147. Almost all the players responded to the incident, collectively standing on the side of the coach and criticizing Pogba. The team is now thriving, the desire to fight, the internal unity, it is time to produce results. Suddenly Pogba ran out to make trouble. People can't help but think that before a certain key game, Pogba suddenly came out to meet a new challenge. This stupid remark shook the heart of the army like Liu, naturally extremely angry. He is getting older, if he still wants to win any honors, that is, these years. If Pogba's affair caused turmoil in the team, he was afraid that he would have the intention of killing. The other Fred and lingered, Veroni, Liu Yi's die-hard loyalists, felt that Pogba and Liola's actions were a great offense to the boss and were an unforgivable thing. So much so that the next day, before going to Norwich, during the last practice, everyone held back a feeling of anger. Liu is also the captain, on behalf of everyone expressed support for Liu Yi. Boss, we will always support you, Liola's remarks will not have any impact, we will be under your guidance, to win one laurel after another. Very good, if that is the case, then we will take Norwich beautifully and continue to move towards the championship. Liu Yi didn't care about Pogba at all. In his opinion, not staying was Pogba's loss, not Manchester United. Even the extent to which Pogba's next contract can be signed is difficult to say. Anyway, since last night, Pogba has not wanted to play for Manchester United at any time. A person who is about to leave, there is no need to reduce the playing time of others for him. Pogba, who is far away in Dubai, sensed that something was not quite right, and that his teammates were all criticizing him and even attacking him. But from the beginning to the end, the club and the coach did not speak, as if when this did not happen, he felt a little weak. The main thing is that he knows a little better, knows that he is different from any previous coach, and it is impossible to get used to anyone. Immediately dialed Liola's number, and carefully exchanged his doubts. Liola is also a little upset. If Pogba this matter is not good, then his golden sign is likely to be smashed. When the time comes, don't say it's Pogba, the other players under your hand. If you can't say it, you will have ideas. Patience explained a few words to Pogba, and then expressed his confidence. Rest assured, Paul, Manchester United club, we have been lifted for several years. You see, we have tossed so many times, each time until the club is soft. Now they are begging you to stay. There are no good players like you in the market, there is no such thing. And Manchester United can't afford so much money now. So now their best bet is to accede to our request and then obediently sign the contract renewal. There is no doubt that several years of experience and Liola's analysis have given Pogba great confidence. Mino, I've always treated you like my father, and I've left everything to you. Rest assured, Paul, now Manchester United is just pretending to be calm, and it won't be long before Woodward's phone calls. Hanging up the phone, Pogba was completely relieved that Riola had been in the industry for so many years, and he could not be wrong. When the Manchester United team went south to Norwich, Pogba was in a nightclub in Dubai, enjoying a life of lights and wine, which was really much more comfortable than begging. Riola, on the other hand, did not wait for the call from Manchester United, and his mood became more and more anxious. Who gave Sandesi the confidence to face this matter so calmly, without even calling himself at the first time what to do? There are also media photos of Pogba, and after they are transmitted to the internet, they naturally make Manchester United fans curse continuously. Regarding your business, the trouble is so big, you don't come out to speak. Even if you can't be a low-key person with your tail between your legs, you have to come out and do things in the West. Even so happy, at first glance, it is not a serious treatment of Manchester United fans. Norwich, Norfolk, Manchester United's bus stops outside the hotel, flanked by Manchester United fans who come to support the team, or Norwich fans who come to demonstrate. There were also many reporters who thought of Liu Yi's loud shouting, "Liu, talk about Oliola and Pogba. I'm tired today and need a good rest. I hope you're still here at the press conference tomorrow, and I'll give you an answer when the time comes." Liu Yi pointed to the hotel. Now the top priority for the team is to rest, all up and down to restore the fatigue of the car boat, otherwise it will affect tomorrow's game whether you say it or not, even if it is a word is news, to get Liu Yi's response. For remembering, it is already an unexpected gain. The quiet of the club and Liu Yi made Liola feel that he had a big chance of winning while being a little surprised. After all, normal people, if they are pointed at their noses and scolded for no reason, they must be the first time to fight back. So he actively opened his mouth, continued to increase the heat and attention of this matter, expanded his exposure, and made some justifications for Pogba by the way. Paul was a child, he was very simple, and we all had to protect him. Manchester United clubs should be thinking about whether it's time to come up with a new contract. Paul won't give them much time, we have a lot of offers from other clubs. Liu is a villain and a Confucian man, and he is also a Dragon Kingdom waste. He only dares to make small moves in private, but he does not dare to respond to us publicly, which is simply disgusting. If you want to make it perish, you must first make it crazy. Now Pogba and Loyola are facing such a situation, but unfortunately they do not see clearly. The danger is not Liu Yi and the club, but them. Liu Yi said that tomorrow's press conference to give an answer instantly attracted countless reporters, so that this game that was not a focus battle, the heat suddenly burst up. Everyone is speculating whether Liu Yi's attitude will be soft or tough to deal with tomorrow. Various commentators have also expressed their opinions. Liverpool star Carragher: I think a player like Pogba is very suitable for Manchester United now. I hope he can stay, so that the Premier League will be more exciting. Manchester United's veteran captain Keane simply expressed his opposition. I don't think Liu will be soft, he is not the kind of person who is threatened, not to mention that now Pogba is a chicken rib in Manchester United, tasteless, and it is a pity to abandon it. Episode 148. The match between Manchester United and Norwich started at 6:30 p.m. local time, and countless journalists gathered here early. As an agent predator, Loyola has countless coveted players in his hands, such as Norwegian youngster Haaland, so that countless teams are coveted as long as they feel that they can afford to pay, basically have contact with him. But who let the agent be Loyola? He put forward the request, scared off almost all the teams. Otherwise, this summer, Haaland should leave Germany and move to the Premier League or La Liga, and if not, it will be Serie A, and it will definitely not stay in Dortmund. The price is so outrageous that everyone retreats. €50 million salary, €40 million broker commission. When Liu Yi saw this news before, he could still remember his reaction as a fan at that time: disgusting. Dortmund aspires to make money by reselling players, but that's not the case for Manchester United, as a club with ambitions to restore its former glory and regain its Premier League dominance. Pogba's thing is that the club has been unprofessional all these years, and business is greater than football. Excessive pursuit of business, and finally suffered losses in business. Pogba's business is simply a loss to the grandmother's family. An hour in advance, the pre-match press conference was held, and Liu Yi took the new captain Luo out to meet with everyone. Norwich's new manager, Dean Smith, looked at Liu Yi with some curiosity, and in the face of this big storm, this young coach was still calm. I don't know if he's really calm or pretending. As the head coach of the home team, Smith gives priority to interviews, and he also knows that the focus is not on him, so answering questions is exceptionally simple. Hello, in the face of such a powerful Manchester United, have you recently thought of any good way to contain them? Manchester United is a big club, there are a lot of good players, we as a team determined to relegate, we hope to win the game we deserve. If we can maintain a draw against Manchester United, I am very satisfied. Smith's answer was very pragmatic. Do you think Manchester United will be a strong contender for this year's Premier League title? I don't think so. I think they're the Premier League champions of the year, and I even have all the best awards in mind. Smith's interview ended quickly, and after announcing his starting list, he left the press room and returned to the locker room to make the final setup. Finally, it was Liu Yi's turn. A group of reporters below looked at him, their eyes were red, and the feeling of the wolf seeing the little sheep. Unfortunately, Coach Liu is not a small sheep, and he waved his hand casually, signaling everyone to ask something to hurry up. Liu, just Smith said, you have booked this year's Premier League title, what do you think? It was not even a matter of asking Pogba about it, which made Liu Yi have a few more good feelings for these people, and the reporters who have discipline are good reporters. Of course, starting from strength, we have this qualification and ability. Liu, can you predict the score? For a weak team like Norwich, how many goals are you going to let the players score? Sorry, Norwich is a tenacious team, everything can happen on the pitch and I don't make any predictions. Liu Yi would not do such a thing. In case he said a score and was accused of manipulating the game, it would really be jailed. The reporters suppressed their inner excitement, asked a few questions about the game, and finally couldn't stand it anymore. Liu, may I ask, Pogba's agent, Loyola, recently in an interview, slammed you. Do you have anything to say? Liu Yi cleared the noise, and everyone immediately quieted down and concentrated on preparing to listen to the lecture. As everyone knows, I am a gentle person. with such excellent qualities as humility in our dragon country people, and I have never been willing to argue with people, basically convincing people with reason. For Liu Yi's bragging, the reporters below rolled their eyes in unison, obviously not believing a word. Raiola as Pogba's agent, what he wants to say, what he wants to do is his freedom, this is the power given to him by the law, I can only look at him morally. But his actions make me feel very unhappy, so I am here to publicly, formally, seriously announce that as long as I stay in the Manchester United manager position for one day, Manchester United will not work with Raiola again, even if his players are free, bring their own dry food, are the strongest players in the world today, I will not want it. The reporters below immediately exploded, which was a public rupture. Previously, Real Madrid was not satisfied with Raiola, and the distrust was just some rumors exposed by the media, and there was no high-level Guan Wang of the dry horse in this regard. But Liu Yi is now the head coach of the team, and he naturally represents part of United's will. Liu, can you represent Manchester United? Of course, both Woodward and Glazer are very supportive of me. So, because of some of Raiola's remarks, have you decided to abandon the Pogba? Is the abandonment of such a talented player a loss for Manchester United? Journalists flocked to ask questions, hoping for more powerful answers. Yes, that's how I approach this matter. I can publicly state that Pogba's days at Manchester United are coming to an end and he can contact the next family, but if he wants to take him away in the winter window, I hope to send a reasonable transfer fee. One last word, I wish Raiola and Pogba all the best. After Liu Yi finished speaking, he announced today's starting list by the way, and got up straight to go back to the locker room. The internet has blown up completely, after all, this has never happened before, at least not at Manchester United. Raiola, who has been paying attention to Liu Yi and paying attention to the press conference, was directly dumbfounded. He originally wanted to ease up with Manchester United and try to sign Pogba's contract, but he did not expect Liu Yi to be so grumpy that he directly flipped the table. If you can't do it, don't do it. Episode 149. For Pogba and Raiola, this is the most unfortunate result. Especially for Raiola, he swore and Pogba promised that there would be no problem, who had thought that Liu Yi would directly overturn the table. What's more, Pogba and Raiola have always regarded Manchester United as a guarantee, even if other teams do not want Pogba, but as long as Pogba is willing to renew his contract with a lower salary, then the previous Manchester United must be willing. And this lower salary, only relatively speaking, is actually very high in the entire Premier League. What Pogba asked before was to surpass Ronaldo and steadily crush the salary of the entire Premier League, and he could agree to his request. I am afraid that he is not a fool. And now there is no guarantee bottom, that is, there is no way back for the Raiola Pogba. Juventus is now in trouble, dare not ask Pogba is not easy to say, the rest is Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid. Real Madrid for Raiola has always been very disgusted with Paris Saint-Germain is not a fool. If you were willing to pay £50,000 before, then it is estimated that you can give 30 now. Pogba got the news from his family and called Raiola at the first time. Mino, you promised me that things would not be more troublesome. Paul, you give me some time, it's not the last minute, which Dragon Country madman is just the head coach, can't be the master of Manchester United. Raiola explained to Pogba irritably, vaguely feeling that the biggest dilemma in his life might be coming soon. After pacifying Pogba, Raiola called Edward Wood for the first time and angrily sent him out. Ed, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Explanation? Explain what? Santacuco sneered and didn't give Raiola face. It has been involved before, because the coaches want to keep Pogba, and he does not want to make a loss-making transaction, so when people think of Pogba, they think of themselves, the CEO who is played between the hands. But now this risk has become very small, because Liu Yi took the initiative to open his mouth and put the pot on his back, alleviating the pressure of his C-day. It's not that he can't renew his contract, it's that Pogba angered the manager and didn't shoot. You see good reason. Raiola listened to Edward Wood's tone of voice, but did not think much about it, because in his memory, the powerful Manchester United CEO had never spoken to him, and in his mind belonged to the kind of person who could play casually. Ed, don't you pretend to be stupid to me, just your crazy head coach, what you said at the press conference, do you dare to say you don't know? I know. Santacuco smiled slightly, Grandpa knows but just teases you. Then I now hope that you, immediately, will hurry up and issue a statement explaining that Pogba's matter is still in progress, and which crazy man's remarks do not represent Manchester United's decision. Raiola said this with a commanding tone. Santa Cuco's reaction gave him some illusions, as if Santa Cuco was still the person in his heart. Unfortunately, Santa Cuco destroyed his illusions. Hug me no, I wouldn't make such a statement. Why? Leola was alarmed. Because Liu Yi is our head coach, his external voice can naturally represent our Manchester United willpower. Upon hearing this, Leola's heart cooled a little, and he immediately said a sentence that made him block the last bit of hope. If you are willing to fire that crazy man, I am willing to use my best efforts next year to bring Holland to Manchester United. Hug, we need Liu Yi, we don't need Helen. Listening to the beeping sound coming from the mobile phone, Leola directly broke the mouth and scolded, smashed the mobile phone on the bed, and scolded for half a day. There is no doubt that United's road is really blocked, and now all he has to do is find a back road for Pogba immediately, otherwise his players will have concerns about him in the future. Pack up your mood and start looking through your contacts to consider who to call first. As a professional agent, Leola reacted quickly. Off-field is always a tidbit as a player and coach, or on the pitch to decide. After holding a press conference, Liu Yi explained to the team members in the locker room and confessed his thoughts. I allow you to have your own interests, but no one can override the club and play between the club and the palm of the stalk at will, just for your own self-interest. So if you have any ideas, you are welcome to talk to me at any time, and hopefully this will be the last time this will happen among us. Boss, I support your statement and I am willing to give everything for you and the club. Ronaldo took the lead as captain and number one superstar to stand up and make his point heard. Others also raised their hands to express their support for the coach. Very good, then I hope this matter does not affect everyone's mood. Now let's go on the field to beat Norwich. Shout out our slogans together. Attack harder, advance more cool. The players stood up one after another, and the sound reached the home team's locker room not far away, and the murderous look startled Norwich up and down. Smith glanced at the players and knew how they were reacting, because he himself thought the same thing. So the purpose of our game is to defend, don't think about attacking. I ask everyone to go into the defense, to reduce the number of goals conceded as much as possible, and if we can get a point, that's the only team that has scored on the head of the United Devil so far. Now remember my command, go on the court and then defend. The action can be moderately bigger, but don't hurt people. Liu Yi took the lead in walking out of the players' passage, and the Norwich fans, who were cheering and singing, saw the Oriental people on the big screen, and Zhang Ran was quiet. The stadium, which can accommodate 25,000 people, has about 3,000 Manchester United fans, and in the silence of Norwich fans, they burst into warm applause and cheers. Liu Yi raised his hands to signal to them, and Norwich's fans finally reacted, erupting into deafening boos. In the player tunnel, players from both sides began to line up and Ronaldo's first match as Manchester United captain was about to begin. The only time Ronaldo wore a captain's armband in his previous Manchester United career was on March 19, 2008, in the 30th round of the Premier League against Bolton. At that time, facing Manchester United's nemesis Bolton, Ronaldo scored twice on the court to lead the team to win the game 2-0. What kind of performance will he have today? Countless viewers in front of the TV set, waiting for the game to start. Episode 150. Norwich is also an unlucky child. Manchester United just ended the Super Mode, and encountered the Super C Ronaldo, captain armband belt. C Ronaldo's heart rubbed upward because the new official took office. Liu Yi will not replace Luo half in any case, so let's welcome Luo's wonderful performance. In the Longwa live broadcast room, John Jun and Zhang Ji met with everyone as always. Zhang Jun smiled and said as if he were a Manchester United fan, the game is about to start, let's see the starting lineup of both sides. First of all, Norwich at home, just like the last game, nothing has changed. The goalkeeper will be Kroll, William, Gibson, Hanley, Ambameld and Arnaventure on the backline. Midfield trio, McLean on the left, Guillermo in the middle, Miro on the right. On the front line is Ida and Pukki's pairing. Obvious 5-back, 3-back formation, it is estimated that directly abandoned the attack, a dead-end situation. After introducing Norwich's formation, Jean Jun was obviously in good spirits and began to introduce United's starting lineup. Manchester United are in the 442 formation today. Veteran Cavani, who has returned from injury, and partnered with Manchester United's new captain Cristiano Ronaldo, as the front. The midfield is Liu Yi's usual diamond-shaped position, on the left is Marcus Rashford, on the right is Sancho, the front waist is the fee of returning from injury, and the back is naturally reborn, and Fred is fully evolving towards Kanté. On the defensive line, from left to right, Luke Shaw, Maguire and Varane, Wan-Bissaka is swinging away, and I have to say that Wan-Bissaka's recent growth has been very fast. The goalkeeper is naturally number 1 David De Gea. The players on the field have already entered. See Ronaldo as captain and Norwich captain exchanged flags. From the smile on his face, you can see that he is in a very good mood. The referee blew his whistle and Bissell officially began. Liu Yi, who was standing on the sidelines, made a forward pressure gesture for the first time to let the formation begin to move forward. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun's voice sounded in time, reminding fans of some key information. Good evening to all fans and friends, welcome to the 16th round of the Premier League, Manchester United away to Norwich game. Jean Jun and Jean Coach sent you a commentary, now is Norwich kickoff. I am Jean Coach. We can see that Liu Yi made a forward pressure gesture on the sidelines from the beginning of the game, and Cavani and Luo in the front of Manchester United began to press the opponent, and the players in the midfield also followed. Hey hey hey. At the scene of the game, inside the Carlo Road Stadium, Liu Yi quickly saw that Norwich did not seem to have any intention of attacking, from the first minute of the game, just at the back to the foot cloth time. The two strikers are as far as the center line, and even if they receive the ball, they will choose to pass back. Unless you have a great chance, you will not risk passing, but you are all near midfield, where is the perfect opportunity? Even if it is a single knife ball that comes out, Varane and Wan-Bissaka, Luke-Shaw's speed is actually not slow. The Manchester United players kept pressing in front, and finally Norwich's defender made a mistake with the ball. The power of the pass was slightly less, and Fred, who was inserted in the back row, knocked the ball to B. Faye had already tickled his feet and directly passed a foot obliquely to Rukio on the right side, running towards the front himself. He was not good at it and did not like to dribble. As soon as Sonyu took the ball, he encountered the defense of the two men, and after doing a few fake moves, knocked the ball back to Fred. Fred moved to the feet of Rashford, who carried the ball and knocked it to Fred with his heel, which was already in the 30-meter area of the Norwich goal. Cavani came out to pick it up and passed the ball to B, who came up, who got up and passed the ball directly into the box. Luo in the penalty area jumped high, used his head to make the ball back, and shot hard without anyone watching, hitting the ball into the stands. It seems that the rest time is too long, and the feet are not hot enough. Norwich opened the goal, and the goalkeeper did not drive directly with a big foot, but to the defender. Faye, who had just missed the opportunity, quickly ran over to grab the ball, and the front court began a high-intensity split round, and the opposing defender's returned pass was too small a minute later. The nearest Cristiano Ronaldo, turning around with the ball under his feet and facing the dilemma of goalkeeper Kroll, a wonderful hanging shot, the ball crossed over his head, brushed the crossbar and landed in the goal behind him. 5 minutes into the game, Ronaldo seized on the opponent's mistake and broke the deadlock on the field with a wonderful hanging shot. Watching the ball fall into the goal, Ronaldo quickly turned around and went straight to the corner flag area, and Faye and Rashford, Cavani and others behind him rushed towards him. Everyone together on the sidelines, Ronaldo did 10 Sui 3 celebration. Manchester United fans are naturally singing and dancing, even Norwich fans. There is no loss of psychology, after all. In the face of the powerful Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester City cannot resist, not to mention their last place. Destined to be relegated Norwich. After the celebrations, the game continued. Manchester United still controlled the situation on the field, and even Norwich could not even put his feet on the back and delay time. However, in the face of Norwich's bus, United's attacking efficiency has also slowed down a lot, and they have begun to use a wide range of transfers to tear up Norwich's defensive line. Ronaldo's goal began, and Faye made 3 long-range shots in a row. Both feet were saved and one hit the crossbar. Marcus Rashford fired a powerful kick and the ball flew off the post. Even Fred and Sancho each came and tried their luck. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun and Jean Guidance watched Manchester United's offensive tide, naturally in a good mood, and even the explanation was much easier. Manchester United's attack is really, Norwich does not dare to come out. At least a little gap, they can drill in, hee. But Norwich's thinking today is very clear. I just don't attack, I just come with a few less goals, and I can't even go through the half. As Manchester United captain, Luo did not shoot several times today, but gave his teammates a lot of exquisite passes, which shows that Luo is not only highly accomplished in shooting, but even the passing is very comfortable. No, the game goes on like this, it completely falls into the rhythm of Norwich. Even if it is a win, it is not fast. Liu Yi on the sidelines shouted a few voices to everyone, signaled to speed up the football pass, using the change of rhythm to break the deadlock. The game lasted 20 minutes, only scored a goal, and it was against Norwich, which was absolutely not okay. Liu Yi's voice, like a compound sun, makes the players on the court please feel like a training match and re-enter the game state. Luo got the ball again, and there were already two people behind him, did not choose to pass back, but did not hesitate to pull the ball to turn around, and then use the explosive power to use the other party behind him. Before the other person, the football is controlled under the feet, a handsome bull's tail, protruding from the defender's side. The other side reaches out and pulls the jersey, but it fails to pull Ronaldo. At this time, Luo has entered the penalty area. The referee will see everything clearly. As long as Luo falls at this time, then it must be a penalty. But the football was still under Luo's control, and a fancy bicycle stepped inside the game. The shoulders sank down, making a breakthrough posture, and sure enough, the Norwich defender shook and a shooting route appeared in front of Luo. When the shooting opportunity appeared, Luo did not hesitate to get up, because the goalkeeper was blocked by the defender a little view, and could only pounce with his eyes closed. The ball passed through the crotch of the goalkeeper, and Romero opened it twice, rewriting the score with 10 strengths. Such a wonderful goal. Liu Yi on the sidelines waved his fist to celebrate, and gave Ronaldo applause, and even Norwich's fans began to applaud. Since you can't resist, let's enjoy pure football. Episode 151. In the Longhua live broadcast room, Jean Jun and Zhang Guidance applauded the goal. Beautiful goal. After 3 people in a row took advantage of the change in body rhythm, shook off the defender, and stabbed through the goalkeeper's small door with a toe. It has been a long time since I saw Luo score like this. It is really wonderful. Under Liu Yi's hands, he seems to be 10 years younger, and he was called Phnom Penh Luo's Luo by the fans. I do feel that Luo is more powerful now than when he was at his peak, and this delicate little action, I'm afraid that only when Lace Luo can do it, hee. In any case, Manchester United's players also shoot a lot, but the key moment is still to rely on Ronaldo to break the deadlock on the field. Buffet is in vain to pick up an assist. That can't be said. It shows that he trusts Ronaldo, so he gave Ronaldo a pass. Remember the previous game, Liu Yi said to hand over the football to Ronaldo, when the defenders of Chelsea were expensive. 20 minutes 2 o'clock, for the current Manchester United, a SOSO level. After all, in many games they can kick in 3 or 4 goals in 2 minutes. Norwich to continue to kick off. The players will look at manager Smith. Is it going to go out and try, in case they can score a goal? Smith waved his hand and firmly signaled everyone to defend. Don't think about what is not. The whole team can't stop Manchester United from scoring goals. After you attack the formation and disperse, you are ready to lose double-digit goals. Back to Wang Wanbai. The two sides return to the previous scene, Manchester United's halftime attack and defense drill, but Manchester United's players have obviously become much more active. A variety of interspersed running coordination around the ball holder to play the attack is the basic tactic of Manchester United. Run around the ball handler to ensure that he has a passing route, or he appears at his passing point and can perform the corresponding silhouette. The most important thing is that when the receiver becomes the ball carrier, the other people's running positions must also be reflected and surrounded by the new ball carrier. It's an extremely complex system, and even with the help of the system, United can only barely do it, and the other teams can only think about it. Barca, Habib plus Messi between the two people at the peak, when they are all in good shape, can do something. It is a few of them, casting a strong Barca dynasty. For a time there is no difference, no one in football is invincible. It wasn't until later that Mourinho finally broke Barca's hegemony with his formidable defense and fast lightning counterattacks. Of course, in those years of Barca, in addition to hegemony, there is also a dad right from UEFA. In order to avoid how big Real Madrid is in La Liga, the influence continues to increase. UEFA can support Barca up as a big killer to suppress Real Madrid. The effect is also some Jean Jun and Zhang to guide a fight. The game time on the field has come to 32 minutes. Manchester United is still attacking like a tide. Norwich's goal is in jeopardy. According to statistics, Manchester United have 82% of the ball, and the number of shots on goal is 15:0. Yes, Norwich didn't have a shot on goal, not even the United half rarely passed, and De Gea was on the verge of catching a cold at the back and had to warm up in front of the goal himself. Marcus Rashford took the ball and was put to the ground by Norwich striker Ida, a not-so-crisp tackle that shoved directly onto Rashford's leg guard. The referee awarded a free kick and then gave the opponent a yellow card warning that the action was too great. Of course, this is the result of the mercy of his subordinates. But Manchester United now have the situation on the field, so they don't care about this and do not go to Manchester United to talk to them. It was just that Luo exchanged a few words with the referee, saying that he would protect the United players from being hurt. On the screen of the live broadcast room, the distance from the football to the goal is displayed, slightly to the left, the distance of more than 33 meters, and the only people in Manchester United who can directly attack the goal are Marcus Rashford and Ronaldo. The live camera switches to Rashford's thigh in time, almost catching up with the waistline. The muscles are very obvious, and it looks full of explosiveness and impact. Luo naturally did not hesitate to let go, although he said that he had done a lot to reduce the movement of muscles, but still had a visual strike effect. The two stood in front of the football together, and most people speculated that Luo was the overseer. After all, since Liu Yi took office, Luo has scored several free kicks. Liu Yi stood on the sidelines and gave instructions. Cristiano, you go inside the box to grab the point, let Marcus come to the penalty. In the face of the head coach's arrangement, Luo naturally ran from the good as the stream, patted Rashford's shoulder, and happily ran into the forbidden area, mixed in the people and sheep. A group of big men from Manchester United, Maguire, Varane, are also mixed in. Marcus Rashford looked in the direction of the goal and then at the referee to show that he was ready. The referee blew a whistle and Rashford took 7 steps back and then began to accelerate. The instep of the outer foot is very pumped on the lower left side of the football, and the football draws a strange arc that looks like it is going straight to the corner flag area, but suddenly it is circled back in mid-air. The goalkeeper rushed towards the football, did not expect that the direction of the football changed again. The other side of the Ronaldo and the defensive ball Gueye jumped on the same day. The defenders who defended him all went down. He was still waiting in mid-air, strong air stasis, let him comfortably top the football. Without a doubt, another beautiful goal. Marcus Rashford's free kick, the eerie arc, is reminiscent of the Bayes arc of former Manchester United star David Beckham, or the full moon curved knife. Rashford took most of the credit for this goal, and after Rowe's goal, he pointed his finger at Rashford and the two rose on the sidelines to celebrate. The other players poured in again, everyone celebrated together, and another game was to be won quickly. It seems that under the leadership of the boss, everyone has never worried about any goals. After all, it will always come. In the following game, Norwich still had no intention of resisting, and finally before the end of the game, Cristiano Ronaldo received a cross from Sancho inside and the header was fixed in the middle of the goal. Faye, who rushed to the horse, finally opened the goal account. After all, such a cake is difficult to eat and want to vomit. The referee did not even give a minute of stoppage time, directly blew the whistle at the end of the game. The first half of the game was very smooth, there was no need for stoppage time. In the Longua live broadcast room, Jean-June flipped through the data. Luo is once again a 3-shot and 1 pass. Such a performance is too much for him. This is already his hat-trick in 10 consecutive games. It is really amazing. Zhang Guan smiled. You are not right, it should be the 11th time. There is also a hat-trick of the national team in the middle. Episode 152. At halftime, everyone thought that Liu Yi would replace Luo with him to rest as usual. Liu Yi naturally would not do this. This is Luo as the captain, the first appearance under him. How can he play half a game and come down? However, the veteran Cavani has just returned from injury, and he has some struggles in the first half, and it can be seen that he is working very hard, but his body cannot keep up with it, and he still needs to rest. Old card, in the second half you'll get a break and let our lads go up and run. Cavani could feel that he was not back to his best form, smiled and gave a thumbs up, saying that he was fine. Mason, do you want to go up and try it in the second half? Louis looked at Greenwood. Greenwood stood up. Boss, I think. Very good, in the second half you replace the old card, run more, use more brains, don't give me no matter what the situation, catch a kick and shoot. Louis pretended to be angry and slammed his eyes on Greenwood, and everyone immediately laughed, and the atmosphere in the dressing room was very relaxed. Even Greenwood scratched the back of his head. There was a time before he scored consecutive goals. It was indeed some, coupled with his previous fan filter, making him a little unconvinced of Luo. But this is a thing of the past, and now that he has been completely conquered by Luo, it is too strong. Of course, when there is a good opportunity, the foot should be more crisp. We have a game in the Dragon Country. There is a line that is very suitable for you. A little cold light arrives first, and then the gun is like a dragon, fast and accurate. He patted Greenwood on the shoulder and laid out the tactics of the second half. On the other side, Norwich coach Smith is trying to boost morale. Guys, don't hang your head, think about the teams that conceded 4 goals against Manchester United in the first half. There are also many teams that have conceded 5 or 6 goals. We are already doing a good part. If you think about it, Manchester City and Chelsea are just as powerless against Manchester United as we are, and what wages their players earn, how we are, to a certain extent we have exceeded what we need to reach. So continue to work hard in the second half and don't give up easily. There's nothing shameful about losing to Manchester United. As long as it's not a double-digit scoreline, the fans won't blame you. The players think it is really like this, counting the recent goals of Manchester United. This goal of their own seems to be really nothing. It seems that we are not so bad. When the first and second from the bottom of the class, when they fail the same, the penultimate will naturally restore confidence. In this way, Norwich's morale was strangely restored by means of comparative law. The intermission was only 15 minutes, and most of the fans had time to go to the forum to brag or go to the toilet, and the activity was over. In the football section area crawled by the famous basketball app division, the popularity of the Manchester United zone is often higher than the football topic area. As for the plates of other teams, they are far away. After Liu Yi took office, this phenomenon was exacerbated, and the activity of Longwa Manchester United fans increased by at least 10 times, and the football atmosphere of the entire Longwa people was much stronger than before. After a large number of jobs, young people who have no time to play football, or middle-aged people, also begin to stand on the court again, dragging the beer belly of FA and using deformed technical movements to start playing football. Halfway through the fight, after the game starts, continue to watch the game, watch it and argue again. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Zhang Jun and Zhang Ji appeared in front of everyone's eyes again, and after the advertisement, the game continued. Welcome back to the studio. Zhang Jun and Zhang continue to explain the second half of the game, and we look at the changes made by the two teams in midfield. Liu Yi did not replace Si Luo this time. It seems that the captain's status allows Si Luo to play a little longer, but Cavani, who was not in state in the first half, was replaced by Greenwood. Norwich looks morale on his side and doesn't seem to be affected by the 3-goal trail, and Smith seems to be a good hand at adjusting the mentality of the Seekers. Well, with a whistle from the referee, the second half of the game began, and Cristiano Ronaldo passed the ball to the beefy behind him. On the grass of the Carrow Road Stadium, Faye received the ball and passed it back to Fred, who controlled the ball and gave everyone time to insert it. From Norwich's formation, it can be seen that it is still as strict as in the first half, and it is impossible to pass the ball behind the back and penetrate the opponent's defense line by relying on the fast attack. Norwich's forward pressing is not very strong. Their purpose is not to get the ball, but to make Fred cannot easily play the ball, or pass back to the defender, waste some time. If we finish the game today with such a score, it will definitely be commendable for Norwich up and down, something that neither Bai Manchang nor the coach Chelsea have done. Fred wasn't in a hurry either, dribbling the ball a few steps laterally, passing the ball to Sancho on the right and then leaning over to the right. Sancho broke through with the ball, and after passing a person, he directly shifted widely, passing the ball to the left, and the result was a bit large. Norwich's defender grabbed the first point, headed the ball down and the ball landed right at the feet of Rashford, who was rushing up. Rashford took advantage of the opponent's unstable footing, and without hesitation, the man split the ball, broke through from the opponent's side, and then took the ball down to the bottom cross. The power of the cross was a little big, and it went straight to the back, as if it was specifically looking for Rukio. A bunch of people jumped up in the middle of the penalty area, none of them could touch the ball. Sancho got the ball at the back post, a fake move to get rid of the defender, and when he was ready to shoot, he found that there were too many people. Passing the ball back to Greenwood at the top of the arc, perhaps just playing and not yet in form, Greenwood stopped the ball slightly larger. The opponent directly jammed the position, snatching the ball away from his feet. This made Greenwood a little anxious. He did not have any Gongnan sacrifice on the field. Directly Gongnan offered a mistake, which made the boss how to see, immediately rushed up, entangled with the other party, wanted to snatch the ball back. Norwich's midfielder McLean was an old fritter. Greenwood's actions were right under his belt, and the two were directly entangled. Finally, Greenwood pushed a little harder, and McLean fell straight to the ground as if he had been hit by an elephant. Drop. The referee's whistle rang out and a Greenwood foul was awarded, Norwich's free kick at the back. Greenwood shook his hand sadly, and Luo just walked over and touched his head with his hand. The little brother was still inexperienced. He patted him on the shoulder with his hand and pointed to the position on the sidelines. As a young player easy to get on top, this is not a rare thing, Louis applauded on the sidelines, encouraging Greenwood's first counterattack after losing the ball. "Don't be afraid, we'll pay them back with goals later." Liu also encouraged Greenwood, and the 2-year-old nodded vigorously and began to run hard. Episode 153. The other side is obviously bullying the young people, which makes Manchester United's big brothers angry, and the little brothers must be restored to confidence. Buffet took the ball in midfield and looked ahead. Cristiano Ronaldo had already taken away 3 defenders, Marcus Rashford was plugging in front and Sancho was drawing in on the right flank. Even Fred rushed up from behind, leaving the opposing backs unsure whether to guard Greenwood or Fred. All in all, Greenwood got a huge gap in this time, and it was in front of the penalty area, slightly to the right of his favorite position. "Mason!" Faye shouted a noise. Greenwood saw the football comfortably passed to his feet, and immediately instinctively got up and hit the goal, but unfortunately there was a slight lack of force, and was held in the arms of Norwich's goalkeeper Krul. What a great opportunity, Greenwood sighed. Even if it was more adjustment, it was too late. "Concentrate, just did a good job, next time continue." Ronaldo's voice, ringing in Greenwood's ear, made him instantly come back to his senses. Now is not the time to complain about himself, the game is still going on. In the front of the press, Norwich made a mistake again. Liu got the ball in front of him, and 2 people in a row broke into the box and directly faced the goalkeeper. Greenwood's running position is near the penalty spot, looking at Liu with his eyes. If the football passes at this time, then he will return to the empty goal. If the ball passed through the crotch of Norwich's central defender and appeared in Greenwood's line of sight, Greenwood never expected that Ronaldo would pass such a ball to himself, but he was directly facing the goalkeeper's single knife. But the ball passed like this, and Greenwood unthinkingly raised his foot to shoot. Such a shot was not at all difficult for him. The goalkeeper stuck out a leg to block it, but he didn't get the ball into the goal. Ronaldo pointed his finger at Greenwood, and then the two ran to the side of the court together, kneeling on the grass together, surrounded by Sancho and Buffet. Everyone gathered around and rubbed Greenwood's head hard. Fortunately he was an adult, and there was no need to worry about not growing up. Liu Yi on the sidelines applauded hard. The team goal is a good thing, but it is better to have this atmosphere. "Everyone is for me, I am for everyone." In the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room, Zhang Junjiang instructed him to be full of feelings. Cristiano Ronaldo gave up a great chance to score in the face of the goalkeeper and passed the ball to Greenwood, which was a little brother to help Greenwood restore confidence. At the beginning of the second half, after Greenwood missed an opportunity, there were already 3 shots on goal, and it can be seen that everyone is deliberately letting him shoot. I don't know if it was arranged by Liu Yi or spontaneously formed by everyone. This team is a bit interesting. The game lasted for 60 minutes, and the Buffet for returning from injury was replaced by Liu Yi with Lingard. Then he replaced Sancho with Van der Beek for a Norwich player, preferably with everyone getting a break. Jesse Lingard went to the right, and Van der Beek took the position of Faye, not knowing why when it came time to change people, turned over. With Manchester United midfielders Jesse Lingard and Van der Beek just coming up, Norwich pushed the defence out a bit and the goalkeeper was too dangerous. If you can have more space, the pressure to defend is also less. It was this time of forward pressure that gave United another chance, and after a few minutes of patience, Jesse Lingard suddenly raised the ball high in the middle of the line, and the ball fell high and fast directly behind Norwich's defence. Ronaldo and Rashford rushed up together, and finally the closer Ronaldo got the ball, and the defenders could not keep up with him. Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, plus Roach's 3-arrow shot. Norwich's goalkeeper Krul has despaired. This is all a broken plot. The lone centre-back, facing Ronaldo, rushed up to Ronaldo, trying to solve the battle with a sliding shovel. But before he slipped the shovel, Liu directly made a covert cross, and the ball was passed to Greenwood, who was not offside, and he rushed more than 30 meters, certainly not offside. In Greenwood's mind, the words of the boss appeared. A little chill came first, and then the gun came out like a dragon. The human ball is one, the thigh is like a long gun, and the football is the tip of the gun that extends out, straight to the opponent's key point. With a cry from Duong, the ball smashed at the intersection of the goalpost and the crossbar, landed on the ground and was picked up by goalkeeper Krul. This is the bread of the throat. You can spit it out. But if the goal is scored, it is really beautiful. It is already a 5 o'clock score. Spit a few is nothing. Spit and spit will score. It's so beautiful to be able to kick a ball with such strength and accuracy in the run. It's almost a little luck. Keep trying. Liu also came to comment on the little brother to enhance Greenwood's confidence. In the 70th minute of the match, United's pass was again passed into Norwich's penalty area, and Rowe jumped high on the edge of the box and gave the ball to Greenwood's familiar position. Greenwood leaned sideways, like a curved bow, and did not wait for the ball to fall, directly volleying into the air. At the same time, he roared in anger, as if he could be blessed with a shot. If you look at this time with a high-powered camera, you will find that Greenwood's foot landed on the football, which actually made the football have a slight deformation, and the strength is evident. The football was like a cannonball fired by Lee Yunlong's Italian cannon, breaking through Norwich's goal, shooting several consecutive feet of Greenwood, swinging his fist vigorously, and the previous pressure dissipated. In the Longwood live broadcast room, Jean June had already begun to shout, "Beautiful assists, beautiful goals, an unquestionable dead end." It seems that Greenwood's previous attempts are all for the pre-A of this goal. Zhang Ji habitually smiled. Luo's idea is also very simple. Can you spit out the cake? Then I will feed you until you can't spit it out. Speaking of this game, see Luo is already 3 goals and 3 assists. The last game his master lingered 3 goals and 3 assists. This game he followed 1. I have to say that the master and apprentice terrier may not be able to pass. Jean June also began to joke, and the bullet screen was also a brush master and apprentice. Master taught me well. Master, look at how many successful disciples have you. Now it's finally blue that is better than blue. I have to say that netizens are all talents and speak well. Liu Yi on the sidelines also clapped hard and then looked at the bench until now see Luo as the captain, handed over the answer sheet, has exceeded the full score, can come down to rest, give others the opportunity to play. Turning around and saying 2 words to Carrick, Carrick went to the bench to call someone. Liu Yi and the 4th official said 2 words. Episode 154. The 4th official pointed to the field and said with some helplessness, "Liu, you have already changed 3 people, and you can't continue to change people unless someone has a concussion." Liu Yi patted his head. It seems that he can only let Lao Luo work the field for a while. Fortunately, there is still a break in the next game. It is not a big deal to arrange for Lao Luo to play 10 consecutive hat-tricks under him, which has been an unprecedented achievement, unless he is willing, otherwise no one can break this record. Think about the previous record of Luo wearing a hat in 3 games, which was maintained until he broke it by himself, which shows how difficult it is. Immediately gave instructions to the field, signaling Luo to retreat to the midfield position and appear in the front waist position. Rashford on the left, Jesse lingered on the right, striker Greenwood, behind Fred and Van der Beek double backs. Nothing has changed in the backline. The formation became 42-31, and Liu Yi signaled to Norwich coach Smith so that they could attack and try it, otherwise there was no one shot, which was too cold. Greenwood is not a traditional centre forward. His body has not yet reached its peak, and it is basically a dream to expect him to resist the defenders of the Premier League, and Ronaldo cannot bear the formation from bias towards attack to bias towards control, but the kind that can attack quickly at any time. Because Marcus Rashford on the left wing and Luo in the front line are strong in speed and explosiveness, enough to overpower the opposing backline. Of course, Norwich's backline is not at the top, and it is only when they meet Van Dijk-led Liverpool that they can really test Manchester United. Now the strongest central defender, Van Dijk, is no joke. Even the hardened Varane is still a huge gap from him, and neither ability nor potential is a player of the grade. Van Dijk is the kind of person who can really bring a team to metamorphosis and qualify as a defender, suppress a bunch of strikers, and win the Ballon d'Or. Ability Liu Yi can't see, but before he played the game, there was a concern. It should be 185 to go up, maybe Chu Dufu nearly 190 strong existence. However, now Van's ability should have deteriorated a little, and the previous serious injury had reduced his ability a lot. Even so, Liu Yi guessed that he probably still had ability value between 180 and 185, and was still the strongest central defender now. While thinking wildly and watching the players on the pitch work hard, Norwich finally came out to attack, and a few times hit the United penalty area, allowing De Gea to make a save. As a midfielder, Ronaldo performed indulgently on the field and how to use passing to control the game. Although he has never played in this position, but he has done better than other professional forwards, he knows too well how to find the opponent's weak spots, how to play in his own control. Faye in the stands, McTominay and other players, full of attention, learning how to handle the ball. Van der Beek and Fred on the pitch are also learning, and even Lingard and Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, they can always get the ball comfortably when they cooperate with Rowe to run. Faye soon discovered the fact that he also likes to pass the ball and find gaps in his opponents, but the success rate and threat are too much worse than Ronaldo's. The most important thing is Luo's sense of rhythm, which he feels is not enough, and the accuracy of his passing is also greatly greater than his own, and the rate of each pass is also higher than his own. Suddenly remembered one thing: his captain also debuted as a fullback when he was young. Van der Beek also has gains. He is very fond of a kick, does not like to control the ball under his feet, likes to use passing to organize the attack and defuse the crisis. However, compared with Luo, the rationality of his own ball is really poor, and sometimes the choice is very grooved. On the contrary, Luo has performed much better in this regard. Then there is the no-ball state. Luo's running position and the tearing of the opponent's formation are worth learning by themselves. At the same time, Luo also guided Rashford and Greenwood to run through the ball, so that they knew what position to make and what kind of action was the most reasonable choice. The reinforced Luo may not be the best player in this position, but certainly one of the best. The remaining 10 or 20 minutes of the game became Luo's teaching class, but also Liu Yi's tactical teaching class, so that the fans and commentators watching the game were greatly addicted. What is a real master? Look at Liu Yi on the sidelines and Luo on the field. Such a partner is simply amazing. Norwich appeared to have attacked and also attacked the danger zone of Manchester United, even allowing De Gea to make several saves, and Fred also came to the goal line to make a rescue to catch the ball back. It looked like it was going to be broken, but it just couldn't be broken. It seemed that it would always be almost the same situation on the United side, and after Rowe returned to midfield, there was only one kick on the goal, which was saved by the goalkeeper, and the other pigs were passes. Rashford made 2 consecutive kicks, one on the goalpost and one on the crossbar, and couldn't help but pull a foot at Norwich's goal. Lin Huang shot directly at the goal, and also Loki chose to cooperate with the pass. Anyway, the score was almost the same. Basically the rest of the shots, Greenwood shot 7 times alone, 5 of which were on target, but he just couldn't get his third goal. Even I looked at the sneakers on my feet in disbelief. Was this pair of shoes wearing the wrong one today? In the 89th minute, after Greenwood received a pass from Ronaldo, a gap flashed out, a foot of rolling ball shot out, the ball passed under the feet of the defender, straight to the goal. Then a pit was encountered in the middle, and after a slight bounce, it changed direction and rubbed the column out. Fuck, Greenwood directly exploded the foul mouth. Then made a helpless gesture to Luo. Big brother, this is not to blame me. I don't know what is going on today. In live broadcast rooms large and small around the world, narrators are ridiculing Greenwood's behavior. Gary Neville of Sky Sports, turn Mason probably means, live to hell. In the Longwa Sports live room, Jean Jun and Zhang Ji looked at Greenwood's appearance and laughed out in unison. Probably Greenwood means that I can only eat 2 cakes a day. Big brother, I can't eat more, you don't have to feed it. Jean Jun kindly made a joke, and the Manchester United fans in the live broadcast room were also happy. Zhang Jia smiled and ridiculed 2 sentences. Luo, this master not only made cakes for Greenwood, but also Rashford and the Lin family vomited a lot. It seems that everyone can't eat it. Episode 155. The final score was left in a 0-6 surprise for Norwich, with the home team in front and the away team in the back. According to previous estimates, at least 10 goals to lose, and now only 6 have been lost, which is indeed a satisfactory result. Especially in the last 20 minutes, Norwich actually had a few threatening shots on goal, avoiding some statistics to shave his head and make people say that it was very ugly. Smith shook hands with Liu Yi with a smile. If not to see the score, only look at his expression, but also think that he got the score from Liu Yi's hand. Norwich's players have also looked for Manchester United players to change their shirts, or to sign AC Ronaldo or something. The United players also have no sense of surprise about winning against the last opponent. After all, for them, winning such a game is already a matter of course. What they want to win is a team like Liverpool, Leicester City, and give the bitter fruit of the previous defeat back to the other side. After the game, Luo was not surprised by the full score. The whole game was impeccable. He was 36 years old, about to be 37 years old, playing the best game of his career, although it was against Norwich, but it was also the Super League. When interviewed as the best player, Luo once again emphasized the role of the head coach, emphasizing that he can be so strong now, which is entirely the credit of Liu Yi's coaching of players. Liu is an incredible person, a very good friend in private. He is also a little shy of the dragon people, but in football he is another person, incredibly confident and strong-mouthed. I wish I could have scored more goals and by the way brought Manchester United back on track, towards one trophy after another. We have been out of the title for too long. On the other hand, Liu Yi also talked about this issue. As a big club like Manchester United, it is unacceptable that after Sir Alex Ferguson retired, there was only one FA Cup and a small triple crown when he was under the Mourinho manager, and nothing else. So this year we have to achieve something, to disappoint those who want to see our jokes, to bring glory to my beggars. Without fans, Manchester United is nothing. Manchester United exists for fans all over the world, so that fans can feel happy after work and study. It is our responsibility as coaches and players. Another reporter asked the question of the Champions League grouping, "Dear Liu, as a team in the first gear, what kind of team do you hope to meet in the next round?" Liu Yi smiled. "The question is a bit interesting. This is a good question, but this is not a question. It should be to see what kind of script UEFA wants to see. But if you want to win the Champions League, it must be a strong team. For us, when we meet everyone, we should worry about the opponent." That sounds arrogant, but look at the recent Manchester United attack and the team that has fallen into their hands, and ask that team if it is not afraid. What do you think about Barca going to the Europa League? I certainly don't sympathize with Barca. The only regret is that we want to meet them, at least until the next season. Hopefully they can work hard. The Champions League that won from us that year, I hope to have a chance to get it back. Wow, journalists no doubt love hearing such remarks. In the end, I can't help but ask about Pogba, although Liu Yi has said a lot at the pre-match press conference, but the reporters still feel that it is not enough. "Liu, I'm a fan of yours and my principle is to support any of your decisions, but I still want to ask, Pogba is at Manchester United, is it really not coming?" Of course, we have an old saying in Dragon Country that a gentleman is difficult to chase after every word, which means that words must be counted, and since Pogba wants him and Loyola to ride on the club's head as they used to, then I just want to tell him that their wishful thinking is wrong, and I don't eat this set. Will the management have an opinion on you? Of course not. I have a full communication with Ed. We are very good friends. It is easy to reach a consensus on this matter. The mistakes made before, he will not come again. Is Raiola really not attractive to you, and players like Haaland? Haaland is a good lad, but we also have a lot of good players in Manchester United. There are a lot of good lads in the youth team, and important teams can win honours. It seems that Manchester United did not think of a genius like Haaland. Remember this sentence, maybe in half a year you will have a different idea. Liu Yi smiled and pointed to the other party, saying something meaningful. Pogba, far away in Dubai, turned off the TV irritably, and lay somewhat weakly on the hotel sofa. Originally, it seemed that everything in his grasp had become like this. It was really unbelievable. Could Mino still bring wealth and fame to himself as before? Pogba, who originally believed that Loyola could handle everything, suddenly became unconfident after watching Liu Yi's post-match interview. He wanted to call Liu Yi and explain all this a little, not for him as a manager, but just a negotiating strategy with the club. Unfortunately, I gave up in the end. I am a world champion, and I am the core of the midfield of the world championship, the candidate of the world one. There are countless teams that want to get themselves, why should they bow to Liu? It is true that he is a good man, but he always thinks in the interests of the club and does not care about his feelings at all. Am I, the best midfielder in the world, the first day in France after Zidane, not worth £50 a week? Cristiano is 36 years old and can get such a salary, I can't be cold with 10. Pogba lay on the couch, looking at the ceiling lamp, muttering to himself, as if to convince himself, and as if to question Liu Yi. He knew that he had already been on Liu Yi's blacklist, and unless he went to the office to meet in person, the phone would definitely not be able to get through. Loyola has arrived in Manchester in the hope of meeting Ed Woodward and having a good talk with him about what went wrong and that United need to give up a football genius like Pogba for a rookie coach in the desert of football. Hug, Mino, Liu's decision is our club's decision. Ed, if that's the case, then I'll use it as Paul to go to Manchester City. Raiola also wants to use this to intimidate Santa Cuco. Who would have thought that it was this sentence that directly made Santa Cuco think of the past that was not fast, that is, for the sake of face problems, he was toyed with by this guy twice, and he thought that his heart was on fire. Fexkov, bring Pogba to your house and be your father. Episode 156. Pogba's affair will certainly not be completely influential for Manchester United players. It directly proves that Liu Yi's toughness in this kind of thing, including his words in the locker room, has also touched the hearts of many players. For example, Marshall was once a horse chaser at Old Trafford, and now he is scolded by the director of the horse factory every day, suggesting that he find an electronics factory to work. Although there are some fans who defend him, there is no doubt that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave him the opportunity to suddenly fall without knowing what was going on. Even in the few opportunities given to him by Liu Yi, he was the one who was unwilling to run on the pitch, and the technology under his feet became rusty. The only reason he can still play occasionally at Manchester United is the ability to hold the ball on his back, but the Zhuang Center is no longer in line with the style of modern football. Besides, he is not a pure center kick, he is a winger who wants to enjoy the center running less and then holding the ball under his feet, but he just can't play well. Pogba and the club got into such a fight, completely torn their faces, and there was no room for turning back, so what about themselves? Is it to mix at the club until the contract expires and then walk away? Or work hard to continue to play in the club, and then whether it is to renew the contract or leave, no one is afraid of not getting off the family? Lying in bed at home, Martial closed his eyes somewhat irritably, but could not sleep. His agent, Philip Lampoli, is also working on this matter, ready to talk to Liu Yi well, and it is natural to fight for the interests of the players. Anthony, Liu is a frank person, I think we will have a good result. Philip, but I'm tired and stressed out at United. Martial understood his problems, but it was too difficult to correct them. It was a conversation between the two before, and he was so tired of playing at Manchester United that the mall had no spirit. Manchester United's whole team returned to Manchester from Norwich, and Liu Yi gave the whole team a day off as usual, and everyone had a good rest. No sooner had he returned home than he received a call from Martial's agent saying that he was coming to visit him, which surprised him. If you talk about the contract, go to the club. About the team, shouldn't Anthony Martial come to him personally? The two made an appointment to meet at Liu Yi's home. He had just returned from a foreign country, felt very tired, and did not want to go out. Philip was not surprised, and the initiative to visit was what he should have done. In the parlor on the first floor of the mansion, Liu Yi saw the other agents except Mendes for the first time, looking energetic and with a kind smile on his face. Liu, under the circumstance that you are resting, it is more offensive to come and disturb you, and please be more inclusive. It's okay, when there is any rest as a coach, I usually have to worry about these players. Liu Yi smiled and drank the tea that Demi Bai sent from the Dragon Kingdom to relieve his body's sleepiness. I mainly want to talk to you about Anthony. When Philip spoke, he was a little nervous, and from this attitude towards Leola, he could feel that he was probably a very tough character. No problem, I even wish Anthony came to me in person to talk to me, no matter what it is, I like to make friends with the players and communicate. Liu Yi said this, which also reassured Philip, and carefully drank a sip of tea. Liu, Anthony wants to get more opportunities to play, and also hopes to guarantee his position. Liu Yi smiled, put down the teacup in his hand, looked at the swimming pool outside through the huge floor-to-ceiling glass window. If it is good to say that summer is good, find a few bikini beauties to swim, and watch it here, what a pleasant scenery. Philip, I want to give every player under him, including Anthony, but first he has to show an urge to play for the team, not to take it for granted when he gets the chance. Philip knew about Martial's problem, and the two had talked about it, and it didn't seem obvious from now on, and some of the guards smiled awkwardly. Anthony has never been like this, he needs a famous coach like you to guide his future, show him a clear path, he trusts you very much. Liu Yi nodded, he used to like Martial very much, and little Henry was not joking. But in recent years, there is a very obvious contrast is Rashford. Rashford also has a trough period, but whether he is injured or in bad shape, but the attitude is first of all very good, running the field, sprinting and passing people again and again, running around these coaches and fans can see in the eyes. Even if you are not good enough, as long as you work hard enough, you can still impress some people. There are often Manchester United fans comparing Rashford and Mbappe. Everyone knows that it is difficult to compare, but Rashford is his own child, always feel a little love, this is right. Of course, now that he is here, Rashford will not have a problem catching up with Mbappe, or crushing him. I could give Anthony some chances, but the position is up to him and it's useless for me to give him. Hopefully he can use his performance on the pitch to get the position, like Fred, Marcus Rashford and Van der Beek. I'll tell him what you're saying. Philip was very respectful, and when he faced Liu Yi, he actually felt some pressure. This is the invincible, one big victory after another, bringing the aura to Liu Yi. That is, Leola is arrogant, or self-righteously playing with Manchester United, completely unaware that Solskjaer's era has passed, and now it is Liu Yi's era. Looking at the young head coach in front of him, Philip couldn't help but want to say to Leola, the era of fat has changed. Taking a deep breath, he also wanted to ask if United really can't do it, can he openly recommend Anthony Martial to other teams, such as the latest oil tycoon Newcastle, who is still very interested in Anthony Martial. However, until he left, he did not talk about this matter. From the heart he still wanted Anthony Martial to stay in Manchester United, even if it was to play as a substitute. He could always grow in the hands of Liu Yi. As long as he can score a dozen goals and have a few assists, let alone Newcastle, other Chiedu teams can also try. Watching Philip leave, Liu Yi drank the tea in his hand. Martial characteristics Manchester United still need, but you are a young man in his 20s, running not as good as a veteran in his 30s, how can people endure? Hopefully, Martial will fight for a little breath, and he still hopes that the new Henry, who was once one, will catch up with what people expect from him. Give him another chance. Episode 157. In the evening, Liu Yi logged into the game system, which is his 10th game at the helm of Manchester United, and if he is reasonable, there should be a better reward. Sure enough, there was a barrage of system messages in the inbox. Congratulations to the host for leading Manchester United to win 10 consecutive games and reward Manchester United with 1% stake. Liu Yi touched his head. This is already 8% of the shares, fell into his own hands. The Glazer family and the exchange and the fool do not suspect that there is a problem here? It can only be that the sense system is really too powerful. The key is that he does not know. Where does this share come from? Who is the object of the transaction? Congratulations to the host for having players who scored a hat-trick in 10 consecutive games and awarded the Star of Hope card. National general information can be selected. This Liu Yi likes very much. Before the Rising Star football card, there is no way to choose nationality. He directly opened Yao Yaodong. It is completely lucky. Congratulations to the host for winning Norwich and rewarding an elite coach card. This thing Liu Yi has not used. Do not know what effect will be. The most important thing is that Carrick has used it very smoothly recently, and he does not have any too good goals, so he delays it. Originally I still hoped to have some special rewards, but I didn't expect these three things, which made Liu Yi feel a little disappointed, and the previous acting card appeared, making him think that the system would increase the tricks. After finding out the Super Hope Star card and choosing the Dragon Kingdom, I directly used it together. This time, there was no task like Yao Yaodong, but a prompt message appeared. In 2 months, another Longwa supernova named Shinwens will appear in the Manchester United trial team. Please pay attention to it. Within 2 months, there is no specific time, and remind yourself to pay attention in time. So why not pay attention in time? For Liu Yi's doubt, the system gave a response. There are many geniuses in this world, but most of them can't reach the height he should have reached, and in the end, there are many people who have spent their lives doing nothing, and if they miss it, they miss it. Fortunately, knowing a name can make the people below pay more attention to it, and when Gao Yaodong comes, let him pay more attention to it. I also wanted to simulate the Champions League draw and see what script UEFA was going to sing. Is it the 2021 battle between Paris and Bayern, or the battle between Manchester United and Paris Mero? It is a pity that the Messi revenge war between Paris and Barca was sabotaged by Bayern, and it was really unkind to send Barca directly to play in the Europa League. Originally, the battle between Manchester United and Juventus Luo was also very good, but unfortunately Chelsea had a veto, shutting Juventus to the first king of the group and not seeing the king, and the first group not seeing the first group. Fortunately, you can choose the story of Luo and Atletico. How can it be you? Don't you want to come over? Hat trick again. It sounds like sadomasochism. In the end, I chose to give up, and it was not interesting to know the answer in advance. Many things in the world are almost impossible to keep up with the changes. Even if Liu Yi has plugins, many things are not under his control, such as people's hearts. On the day of rest, almost no one in the media paid attention to Manchester United's victory over Norwich, and everyone's attention to the pig was the news that Manchester United had broken up with Loyola. Most of the fans were supportive, and a small number of them expressed concern. After all, a supernova like Haaland. It is eye-watering to watch. And will it be because of this incident that other players will have some concerns when they work with Manchester United? Liu Yi didn't say a word, but Luo and Lingard said a bunch of good things for him on the internet, indicating that the fault of this matter was not him. Loyola constantly spoke out in the media. I will definitely not send my players to slow down France. Let Manchester United pay for this. The interests of the players need to be protected. Which arrogant madman completely does not stand in the position of the player to think about the problem. I've gotten a lot of calls from people, and Paul has never lacked suitors. In fact, what the situation is, only Loyola himself knows, such as Real Madrid's Lafayette, Florentino refused his call. At that time, Real Madrid was interested in Pogba, and it was only Zidane who liked Pogba. In fact, Florentino hated Liola. Juventus is very happy, but the request is that Pogba cannot cut wages and cannot spend too much money. Now they have no money, do not dare to spend money. The rest of the Paris Saint-Germain were indeed very interested in Pogba and had also communicated with Liola. Unfortunately, before that, from yesterday to now, Liola contacted Leonardo, the sports director of Paris, several times, but unfortunately there was no contact, which is enough to prove that Paris's attitude has also become warmer. This made Liola a little flustered, and if Pogba couldn't find a good next home, then his golden sign would be in trouble. The tougher it is on the outside, the more uneasy it is in the heart. In addition to constantly making phone calls, hoping to settle Pogba through the network of relationships, the rest is to scold Liu Yi, curse Liu Yi's whole family to hell, and not be able to die. Unfortunately, the gods of the West could not control Liu Yi, the descendant of the dragon, and did not even cause a sneeze. The rest of the media is paying attention to UEFA's Champions League knockout round of 16 draw ceremony, predicting by the way that team will encounter that team, and incidentally introducing the feud between the two sides. Liu Yi is not interested in live broadcasting and prefers to watch the results directly. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon British time, the Champions League draw ceremony was held in Switzerland. Liu Yi was taking a nap, and he slept very soundly and had a beautiful dream. When he woke up, there were dozens of calls and messages on his phone, and if you look at the time, you will know that it must be said that the Champions League draw. I quickly sent a circle of friends to explain why I didn't receive a call and a reply. I was just taking a nap, so my phone is muted, please forgive me. Just sent out. There are a lot of comments below. Luhan is the first, brother E. It is estimated that in this case, the head coach of 16 teams, only you can sleep. Dababy, good mentality. I see other football coaches are getting old very fast, you don't get old. Yang Tianbao, domineering, no matter who it is, we will kill him. Mom, take a good rest, pay more attention to your body, don't be too tired. Louis picked a few replies, and then went to see the message sent to himself. Who did Manchester United draw with? Click on the news that Dobby must send over, go in and see the first glance, directly pat the forehead, sure enough, it is your UEFA, the whole life is a set. Episode 158. Manchester United vs Atletico, there is no story, but if you want to talk about Ronaldo and Atletico, it is really a wonderful scene. In the whole football world, only one player has scored a hat-trick against Simone's Atletico, and more than once, it is Cristiano Ronaldo. And every time it is full of topicality and drama, which makes people look at it and enjoy it. For example, when he was in Juve before, Atletico drew Juve by 2 goals away from home, Simeone celebrated with his crotch, and after coming to the home of Atletico, Ronaldo told Atletico with a hat-trick, "Don't think that you will not play you anymore." They don't have to read the messages sent by other people, most of them are about the story of Luo and Atletico. Directly log on to their own Twitter and Weibo, each sent a message, expressed their own views, and stabilized the lover of the ball meter. Atletico are a respectable opponent and hopefully we can join forces to give everyone a great game. As for the fans, or what the media wants him to say, it is not said half a word. Louis is not a fool, what is the benefit of stimulating Atletico before the game? What if the action on the field becomes bigger and hurts a few? As for the other draws, the more unfortunate ones are probably Chelsea and Real Madrid, which are the opponents with the highest probability and are still drawn together. The rest of Juventus and Portuguese sports, Bayern and Villarreal, Liverpool and Inter Milan, Manchester City drew Salzburg Red Bull, Paris and Ajax, Benfica Coral. Probably the special luck is Manchester City. Bayern's current state is that no one is afraid, and everyone is the same. Juventus was originally quite strong, but now in the form of Portuguese sports, I don't know who should be happy. Paris will see if Pocinati can make the superstars in the front court run, otherwise the front court will pile up a bunch of big guys, and the midfielder Herrera will be injured, and in the case of disconnect, Ajax is not easy to mess with. Benfica and Lille, it is estimated that no one will care. Watching the live broadcast does not wait until the time of the quarterfinals draw. Some people will care about the winners of these two teams, and hope that the team they support will draw a winner who enters the quarterfinals. The two most watched games are Manchester United and Atletico, as well as Real Madrid's two-legged match against Chelsea. But that's all for next year, and the next hub is a return to the league, with United taking advantage of this time to see if they can successfully overtake and become half-course champions. Perhaps under pressure from Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool, who are in the front, have not made mistakes. Although some games stumbling and not playing well, they can always be taken down. Whether it's 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock, points are all 3 points, and Manchester United are the 3 points of Mioche. The story is left to the media to tell. Liu Yi has to do is to arrange the next game of the team, away to challenge Brentford, is not a strong team. Now Brentford is ranked 13th in the Premier League, and it is the mysterious middle and lower reaches of the Premier League that can often add to your confusion. However, Liu Yi obviously didn't care much about this, and just promised Philip that he would give Martial a chance, and this level of team was just right. Unfortunately, the plan never caught up with the change, and the day before the game, before the whole team went to London for the last practice, Martial suddenly found Liu Yi. Liu Yi was still very happy that he could come to him in person, and by Zheng could also be regarded as a kind of courage. "Boss, I want to transfer to other teams?" Hearing this, Liu Yi was stunned, and when he spoke, Martial even smiled with some embarrassment and watched Liu Yi bow his head. "What's wrong? I'm going to give you a little more chance." "Boss, it's not your reason, but I feel that staying in our team is not easy, and I feel that the pressure is too great." Martial scratched the back of his head, raised his head and smiled wryly, then quickly lowered his head. Liu Yi was silent. He knew that the competitive pressure of Manchester United must be very large, and since he came, Ronaldo's performance has exploded. The reconnect locks a position. Coupled with the outbreak of Sancho and Lingard, Rashford, who had played more time before, and Greenwood had a lot less playing time, but it had no impact on Martial after all, he did not have much playing time before. "I still hope you stay." For Liu Yi, he sometimes speaks as a fan, and he has always watched Anthony Martial be praised as United's future game when he was young. Excellent ball sense, the speed of the ball is fast, and he is very similar to Henry, and even the style of playing has a bit of Henry's style. If he is willing to work hard himself, Liu Yi does not mind helping him stand up and realize his dream. Anthony Martial did not expect that Liu Yi would talk to himself like this. For a while he was a little confused, did not know what to say, and he really did not want to leave Manchester United. "If you just go now, I don't know how much you will point at his back, then spit out 2 mouthfuls of spit, put up your middle finger and say a word to see the loser." "Boss, I want to play under you too, but I'm really out of strength right now, and I don't know what's going on with me. I want to run hard, but I don't know why. When I stand on the pitch, it's like being sucked out of my soul, losing motivation." Martial stood opposite Liu Yi, chattering, and said what he felt and troubled during this time, without any reservations, and the whole person was much more relaxed. "Boss, I know everyone loves you, and I'm the same, who doesn't want to play under you?" After saying this, Martial once again made his position clear. Looking at his appearance, his already reddened eyes, listening to his voice, Liu Yi's heart was also quiet. "Anthony, do you remember Jesse the first 2 years not?" "I know." How could Martial not know that Jesse Lingard, who had no goals and assists all year round, was ridiculed by the whole world, went to West Ham and got back on his feet and won back the trust of his coach? "I can leave you on loan for half a season if you want, and you can try it outside, how about it?" Liu Yi tried to discuss with Martial about it, but he was worried that the other party was unwilling to rent. After all, as a former golden boy, he was still a little arrogant. Anthony Martial had a smile on his face, and he could feel that Liu Yi really wanted him to stay, when even though he nodded vigorously. "I listen to your boss, whatever it is." Liu Yi stood up and patted his shoulder, and let out a long sigh. Next season Cavani will fall back to the roots, and Anthony needs Anthony Martial. "Go get Philip to the event." "Thank you." Martial gave Liu Yi a bow, quickly turned away, reached out and rubbed his eyes. Episode 159. Leola smashed her phone on the ground again, the third mobile phone in 2 days. Real Madrid's Florentino has been refusing to answer his call, and just now he finally spoke to Leola through his secretary. "If Pogba is willing to accept a weekly salary of £20,000, then we can talk. Go to your uncle. Pogba is now at Manchester United, that is, a weekly salary of £290,000, just to get a higher salary, so he refused to sign a contract with Manchester United, and has been ripping off until now. Even Manchester United's £400,000 contract was rejected, and now Real Madrid is giving £200,000, isn't that just taking advantage of the fire? The most important thing is that because Real Madrid is not coached by Zidane now, it does not guarantee Pogba's position. Next year is the World Cup year, Pogba definitely does not want to miss. Needless to say, Juve faces an extremely bad situation, may be relegated to Serie B, and faces a serious financial crisis. Whether they want Pogba or not, of course, is very much wanted, but as long as the salary does not exceed £150,000, the premise is that other players who exceed this tree Juve will not agree. Now the life-saving straw is Paris Saint-Germain, and if Greater Paris can't show sincerity, then the result is really bad. On the plus side, he had a deep friendship with Leonardo at Donnarumma's transfer. Although he said that he had made a lot of money from Paris, Donnarumma also got a good salary, but Milan got nothing, but in the end Paris got the people they wanted. Now Pogba is the same. As long as Leonardo comes out in time to say a word to save his professional crisis, then Pogba is the Greater Paris. Even when necessary, Leola can give up some of her own interests, such as the agent's share, and give herself 30 million, instead of the 40 million previously demanded. Leaving London, Leola traveled to Paris herself, hoping to get a desired result. Before getting on the plane, Leola also tweeted, "There are several contracts for Paul in hand, but for Paul's benefit, we will not make a decision easily." In fact, in addition to himself, many people know that Leola is doing this to stimulate Manchester United and Liu Yi, to create an illusion that Pogba has been robbed, so as to give themselves another chance. Before that, he and his team also contacted several newspapers to release some true and false news. Hashtag, Real Madrid £400,000, looking for Pogba to join. Hashtag, Juventus paid Pogba tens of millions of dollars a year, seeing him as the cornerstone of revival. Hashtag, Pogba is already in Paris's pocket. Hashtag. One by one, it was the same as the truth, making Liu Yi laugh off his teeth, at least in his game system. Until now there are no club offers, and the only real interest is Newcastle and Greater Paris. However, while interested, the two also have obvious signs of hesitation behind them, expressing doubts about Pogba's competitive state Liku injury. Some people are happy to see it happen, but some people are not happy. For example, Manchester City's Pep Guardiola, although Manchester City and Manchester United are sworn enemies in the same city, often have to argue about what sky is what color. But that doesn't mean he is willing to let Leola take advantage of it, and immediately issued a statement through Manchester City's official channels. "Pogba does not meet my tactical requirements, he is a good player, but it has nothing to do with me." For a time on the internet, netizens and some Manchester United fans, for Leola is naturally a variety of sarcasm, but unfortunately Leola will not care. He is a billionaire, so hype is just to make money, why be angry about small things? As for the netizens scolding him, he also has a luxury car mansion, a beautiful woman and a model, a lot of banknotes waving, a few scolding words and a piece of meat. The flight landed in Paris, Leola looked at the fishing boat, and there was still no reaction from Manchester United, which made him a little anxious. Pogba is still in injury and hasn't played well at the airport this year, and the long time he's been recovering from his injuries has left a lot of things unconvincing. No one from Paris came to greet them, of course Leola came by herself, and did not inform the Paris side at all. It wasn't until he checked into the hotel that Leola called Leonardo to explain that he was already in Paris, and everyone came out to talk about Pogba. Now Paris is close to a Champions League, to become a real giant, and it is a really good midfielder. Look at Kanté at Chelsea, Casemiro at Real Madrid, Kroos, Modric, Bayern's Kimmich, Manchester City's Rodri, even Barca have veterans like Professor Boo. What do you have in Paris? In addition to Verratti, the most reliable is Herrera. When Herrera was young, he could not win the championship at Manchester United, and now he is more than 30. With him Paris can win the Champions League? Before Leonardo's arrival, Leola had already thought of a reason, prepared a set of words, and persuaded Leonardo that the straw to save his life did not dare to slow down. Thanks to UEFA's change of rules, players who have now played in the Champions League in place of other teams in the first half of the season can continue to play in the Champions League after the winter window transfer. Otherwise, Leola's plan will be completely bankrupt. In addition to the media, Leola also bought a part of the Water Army and began to make various remarks on United's official website and social media. "We can't accept a rookie manager to drive away the team's meritorious players. Pogba is the best, only Pogba can lead Manchester United to glory. Fred, McTominay, what the hell, they can't replace Pogba's role. We're going to keep Pogba, and letting go of Pogba would be a stupid decision." Similar remarks have occupied the comment area of Manchester United's social media for a time, but unfortunately no one has paid attention to them, and Manchester United officials have not moved at all, and it seems that they have not seen the same right. Joel Glazer looked at the stock price and opened a little, and even took the initiative to call Liu Yi. Liu, you can rest assured that we all support you, you can rest assured that you can boldly go to anything thousands. Immediately after that, Sandesi and Mendes made an announcement together. Liu Yi's new contract had completed the final negotiation, waiting for the signature and then announced. Manchester United's official social media account commented on the matter for the first time. His Majesty the Demon King is the one who will lead the revival of Manchester United. Unfortunately, the Water Army does not care about this, they just keep making the same remarks, and then groups of people go up to squeeze the comments of normal fans, and the bad money is chasing the good money. Liola, also finally at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, ushered in his life-saving straw, Paris football director Leonardo. Episode 160. Liu Yi was busy researching the game against Brentford. Ronaldo has scored 7 hat-tricks in 7 consecutive league games, and when a man is not halfway through the league, he has scored 24 league goals and 10 assists, which is simply a statistic. You have to find a way to make Luo a little more restrained, you can't always hat-trick. Anthony Martial, for example, if he wants to move, give him a chance, let him go up and score a few goals, so that even if he goes out on loan, he will have enough tactical position. At this time, the phone call came from Santa Cuco, who had not long been left to retire and was still working diligently. However, Sandesi's retirement is to be a consultant. If Liu Yi supports him, then he will still have enough status and power as an advisor, and now he naturally wants a good relationship. Dear Liu, are you busy at work? Ed, what's wrong? It's not Pogba's thing, is it? Of course not. Martial agent told me that he wanted to let Martial go on loan for half a season, saying that it was with your consent. Yes, he talked to me before, and Anthony talked to me, and I agreed to their request, not to mention that if the rental is good, Anthony can buy a good price. As soon as he heard about buying a good price, Santa Cuco was immediately not sleepy, which was the topic he was most interested in. After determining that the matter was true, Santa Cuco quickly hung up the phone and presumably discussed specific terms with Philip, such as the principle of avoidance. Although Liu Yi said that he didn't care about this, Sandesi was willing to do something, so let him do it. In Paris, in the presidential suite of the Ritz Hotel, Liola and Leonardo sat face to face. The two had been chatting for half an hour, and it seemed that the topic was not progressing much. Leonardo, don't look at United's attitude now, but they will definitely not easily take Pogba. This is just a means to force us to renew our contract. Just think, if you really don't plan to renew Paul's contract, then what good is it for Manchester United to make such a big fuss? Is it to make other players of Manchester United feel uneasy? And other players who want to go to Manchester United in the future will also have a lot of concerns. If you don't believe me, you can quote 60 million euros in this winter window, and you see if they will let you take Paul. It is absolutely impossible. Leonardo looked at Liola with half a doubt. This fat man is not a good person, but as long as you give him money, he is really doing things. And it was the kind of infamy on his back, who didn't care at all, and Paris naturally gave him money. Paul's injury? There is no problem, just a small strain. If the United group of stunned youth, such as Marcus Rashford or something, it is estimated that he has already been injured to play. Paul is just to protect himself, of course, to protect the interests of Paris. Leonardo nodded. He really believed in this, and Liola was the one who could do such a thing. Healthy, play well, brainless Pogba, the strength of everyone is admitted, it is indeed very strong, but unfortunately these conditions must be met, at least in Manchester United cannot do. If it really is like what Liola said, then there is still operability in this matter. If Pogba can replace Herrera, the Greater Paris midfield will indeed rise a notch, and this year there is Messi to join, which is a good year. Front court trident Mbappe has decided to go, we'll lose him next season. This year is also the last chance, whether to play or not. Leonardo muttered in his heart, even almost persuaded by Liola. For Liola, the biggest skill is to look at the color, and from Leonardo's expression and silence, you know that the other party has accepted his own words. At that moment, the mind is determined, and the mouth is not spoken, and every word said at this time is superfluous, and even counterproductive. The best thing to do is to say nothing. You've already made a start, and let Leonardo convince himself of the rest. At the same time, some rumors began to appear outside, and Martial hoped that Manchester United would lend himself out of the winter window to play more games and find a state. This really caught Newcastle's attention, as Martial itself was on their takeover list and reacted immediately. If you can't buy it directly, then it is also a good choice to rent for half a season and try whether it is a parallel product, and you will not lose too much. Newcastle's local bosses also know that when they first arrived, there are many teams and agents who are ready to slaughter themselves and eat a bite of fat. So he is very cautious. Until now the media has reported a bunch of players' names. In fact, there are not many who have picked up the corner. Mendes had played in the role before, trying to see if he could take down United's young coach at a big price, but failed. Liola also noticed the news, and after Leonardo left, he immediately pushed and angered Liu Yi. This rookie coach from the Dragon Kingdom is to clean up Manchester United's French gang. Everything that is disobedient must be cleaned up. He is a tyrant, a dictator. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to him, and many Manchester United fans supported him and quickly sold Anthony Martial. Only some nostalgia for Van Gaal's period, hoping that Anthony Martial can find his former fans, hoping that Liu Yi can magically rejuvenate and save Martial back. Liu Yi, as an old fan who has watched Manchester United for 20 years, actually wants to save Anthony Martial, but first of all, you can fight for yourself. A person who struggles to get up, Liu Yi can pull you along, but you are lying down, or counting on Liu Yi to pull you up, that is a dream. In Paris, after Leonardo returned to his residence, he called the team's head coach, Pochettino, for the first time. Mauricio, Pochettino, do you think we have one more Pogba in the team? Will it be stronger? Pochettino originally came to Paris to open an aircraft carrier, but now it seems that the aircraft carrier is not so easy to drive. Paris stumbled forward under his control. Fortunately, although it was bumpy, it did not make any big mistakes, and every track runner was fighting for the first road. However, Messi fans, already because Messi cannot play full play in special treatment, full attack Pochettino, hope that he will immediately get out of the egg and replace a head coach who can play Messi's greatest role. So now one more Pogba is not a problem, maybe it will really work wonders. Leonardo was immediately given a positive reply. Leon, a healthy Pogba, is a good complement to our squad. Hearing this, Leonardo was relieved that if it was useful, it was right to buy.